Chapter 2180, 2180 Meeting Yuhua Again. 2180 Meeting Yuhua Again. The cultivators below were alarmed and looked up instinctively. An auspicious cloud floated above everyone's heads and 7 to 8 figures stood on it. There were men and women with jade sect badges hung on their waists that fluttered slightly. The expressions of the cultivators changed. Nobody below realized when the auspicious cloud above their heads had floated over. Judging from the jade sect badges on their waists, these cultivators on the auspicious cloud were legacy disciples. Legacy disciples of the academy had appeared. Under normal circumstances, outer sect disciples of the academy would not have the chance to come into contact with legacy disciples, let alone look up at them at such a close distance. On the auspicious cloud, a man in a moon-colored white robe stood with his hands behind his back. His black hair fluttered and he had an indifferent expression, looking carefree and independent. The other cultivators stood behind him like stars surrounding the moon. The white-robed man's body was tall and straight. Just by standing casually on the auspicious cloud, he was like an unsheathed sword that could slice the firmaments into two. Many cultivators had complicated expressions in their eyes. There was respect, envy, fear and excitement. Nobody noticed that Su Zimo, who was on the sword discourse arena, averted his gaze instinctively and lowered his head slightly when he saw that person. Many outer sect disciples did not recognize who the legacy disciples on the auspicious cloud were. However, Su Zimo recognized the white-robed man leading them. Sword Immortal Yuhua. Back then, a pure young spirit treasure appeared on the Dragon Abyss star and attracted 3 perfected immortals. One of them was Sword Immortal Yuhua, who was on the auspicious cloud. At that time, Su Zimo was only a mere black immortal and Sword Immortal Yuhua might not remember him. However, he remembered Sword Immortal Yuhua. Initially, the reason why Su Zimo did not want to join Heaven and Earth Academy was because he was worried that something might happen if they interacted. He had not expected to encounter Sword Immortal Yuhua again after joining the academy for less than 1,000 years. When Yang Ruoxu saw Sword Immortal Yuhua in the lead, a look of worry flashed through his eyes. On the other side, Fang Qingyun's lips curled. On the auspicious cloud, Sword Immortal Yuhua had not been looking over the entire time. He stood on the cloud and looked into the distance, as though he was not interested no matter how lively the outer sect was. A man walked down from the auspicious cloud. Elder Jian hurried forward and cupped his fists. Greetings, Senior Brother Shao. Although he was a perfected immortal, he was only at the convergence realm and his cultivation realm could not compare to the person before him, Shaoli. Furthermore, although inner sect disciplinary elders possessed immense authority, they could not control legacy disciples. Therefore, almost all the legacy disciples in the academy had a higher status than the inner sect disciplinary elders. What's going on? Why are there so many people? Shaoli asked. Just as Elder Jian was about to speak, Fang Qingyun, Tang Peng and Yan Bingying welcomed him and bowed. Greetings, Senior Brother Shao. Oh, Qingyun. It's you guys. Shaoli seemed to be extremely familiar with Fang Qingyun and the others. He nodded slightly and smiled. You guys have to cultivate well and condense your Dao fruits as soon as possible to become perfected immortals. We're waiting for you guys in the academy. Su Zimo had once heard from Princess Scarlet Rainbow that be it the outer or inner sect, neither was the true Academy of Heaven and Earth Academy. The true academy was where legacy disciples cultivated, that was the true paradise. When Su Zimo saw how familiar Fang Qingyun and the other two were with Shaoli, he knew that things would not go well. Upon hearing Shaoli's words, Fang Qingyun smiled and nodded as well. Don't worry, Senior Brother Shao. Once I obtain the number 1 of the heaven ranking for the academy at the Divine Firmament Immortal Meet, I'll definitely condense a Dao fruit and break through to the perfected immortal realm. At that time, I'll have to seek your guidance, Senior Brother Shao. My cultivation is not enough. Shaoli shook his head and looked in the direction of the auspicious cloud with a smile. If you guys become legacy disciples, Senior Brother Yuhua will naturally be the one to guide you. Fang Qingyun, Tang Peng, Yan Bingying and the others were delighted. Right then, Fang Qingyun sighed and shook his head. Unfortunately, junior brother Pang can no longer join us. Junior brother Pang? Xiao Li frowned slightly. Junior brother Pang you. Gritting his teeth, Tang Peng glared at Yang Ruoxu and said hatefully, Junior brother Pang was killed by that lowlife Yang Ruoxu on the sword discourse arena. Yang Ruoxu. When he heard that name, Xiao Li's expression changed and a cold glint flashed through his eyes. Instinctively, he looked at Sword Immortal Yu Hua on the auspicious cloud. Sword Immortal Yu Hua did not turn around still. However, the sharpness on his body seemed to have intensified and turned colder. Xiao Li understood and turned to look at Yang Ruoxu, saying coldly, since you killed someone on the sword discourse arena, you naturally have to pay with your life. The moment he said that, Yang Ruoxu felt a chilling intent envelop him. It was as though a calamity was about to descend on him the next moment. He was already targeted by the killing intent of a perfected immortal expert. Cough, cough. Gulping, Elder Jian coughed and probed carefully, Senior Brother Xiao, there's actually more to this matter. The reason is, I don't care if there's anything more to things. Xiao Li waved his hand and said in a deep voice, all I know is that junior brother Pang Yu was killed by this person on the sword discourse arena. I have to seek redress for junior brother Pang. After saying that, the killing intent in Xiao Li's eyes had already accumulated to its peak and he could attack at any moment. Su Zimo had a grim expression and clenched his fists. Pang Yu was killed by his fleeting moment. Yang Ruoxu was taking the blame for him for this matter. Yang Ruoxu had cultivated in the academy for many years and definitely knew about the many situations in the academy. He only told Su Zimo not to admit it because he expected this to happen. But now that Yang Ruoxu was about to die in Xiao Li's hands, Su Zimo could no longer hold it in. He could not let Yang Ruoxu die for him. Su Zimo strode forward and said in a deep voice, Pang Yu. Silence. Su Zimo had just said 2 words when Yang Ruoxu's voice sounded in his consciousness. It was vast and righteous, causing his head to buzz and he could not finish his sentence. Yang Ruoxu shifted slightly and blocked Su Zimo behind him. He looked at Xiao Li who was in midair fearlessly and shouted. Senior brother Xiao, junior brother Pang did die on the sword discourse arena. However, he tried to kill his fellow sect mates first. You disregarded the academy's rules and wanted to kill me right away without uncovering the truth beforehand. Aren't you afraid of the academy punishing you? What a glib tongue. Xiao Li's expression was cold as he said icily, how dare a lowlife who is a mere inner sect disciple threaten me? Let's see who in the academy can punish me for killing you today. With that said, Xiao Li released a tremendous spirit consciousness pressure and descended, locking onto Yang Ruoxu's figure to prevent him from teleporting away. At the same time, Xiao Li extended his palm and true essence condensed. A gigantic true essence palm materialized and slapped down in Yang Ruoxu's direction mercilessly with a terrifying might. Chapter 2181, 2181 Appearance of Mo Qing. 2181 Appearance of Mo Qing. Crack. 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 Just as the true essence palm was about to descend on Yang Ruoxu and Su Zimo's heads, it was suddenly covered by a layer of frost. In the blink of an eye, it froze into ice and stopped in midair. Xiao Li's expression changed starkly. The cold chi spread rapidly along his true essence to his arm. A layer of bone-chilling ice crystals formed on his entire arm and the bloodline in his arm froze instantly. What was even more frightening was that the cold aura did not show any signs of stopping and followed his arm, wanting to engulf his entire body. Ah! Xiao Li growled and retreated. A ball of light shone behind his head as he channeled his Dao fruit and all the true essence in his body surged towards his frozen arm. Boom! The ice on Xiao Li's arm shattered and he was out of danger. However, Xiao Li's expression turned extremely terrible and pale. His body trembled slightly and every breath he took was filled with cold air. It was clear that he was injured. Right then, everyone realized that a snow-white butterfly had flown out of nowhere and was dancing around Yang Ruoxu and Su Zimo on the sword discourse arena. Most of the outer sect disciples did not know the origin of the butterfly. However, Shaoli and the other legacy disciples frowned. Even Sword Immortal Yu Hua, who was standing on the clouds and seemed like he was not involved the entire time, had a change in expression. He glanced sideways in the direction of the sword discourse arena. "Little butterfly, where did you go?" Right then, the voice of a woman sounded from afar. It was gentle and charming with a hint of anxiety and worry. When he heard that voice, the sharpness of Sword Immortal Yu Hua's body suddenly lessened and a gentle look appeared in his eyes. Before long, a graceful woman in a long dress strode over. Her black hair was tied into a bun. Although she wore light makeup, her beautiful eyes were extremely moving and sparkled with every glance. The moment the woman appeared, the clamor of the outer sect quietened down. Almost everyone's gazes were attracted by this woman. Just by standing in midair, it was as though she was one with the surrounding mountains, rivers and plants, forming an ancient ink painting with a distant intent that was natural. Many cultivators forgot to breathe and did not dare to speak. It was as though anyone who made a single sound would break the mental state before them and destroy the beautiful painting. Painting Immortal, Mo Qing. Su Zimo had seen Fairy Mo Qing once during the Immortal Sect selection. But now that he was seeing Fairy Mo Qing for the second time, he still felt a sense of amazement. In terms of looks alone, Fairy Mo Qing might not be the most beautiful woman he had ever met. At the very least, she could not compare to Consort Yu. However, Fairy Mo Qing exuded a unique aura that made one's heart flutter. Her existence was a perfect painting to begin with. Actually, when he saw the snow-white butterfly appear, Su Zimo had already guessed that Fairy Mo Qing should be nearby. In everyone's eyes, the ice butterfly seemed to be dancing around Yang Ruoxu. However, in reality, Yang Ruoxu was standing together with Su Zimo. Su Zimo had a feeling that the appearance of the ice butterfly seemed to be because of him. "Junior sister, why are you here?" Sword Immortal Yu Hua moved and welcomed her with a smile. "Senior brother Yu Hua." Fairy Mo Qing nodded slightly and said, "For some reason, Little Butterfly suddenly ran out. I was worried that it would get into trouble, so I chased after it." "Junior brother Xiao, is your arm all right?" Fairy Mo Qing looked at Shaoli, who was not far away, and asked softly. It's fine." Shaoli glanced at Sword Immortal Yu Hua and chuckled dryly. Fairy Mo Qing's gaze landed on the ice butterfly on the sword discourse arena. She frowned slightly and chided softly, "Little butterfly, you're injuring people recklessly again. What are you waiting for? Come on back." All the legacy disciples of the academy knew that this ice butterfly was Fairy Mo Qing's immortal pet. Usually, it would not leave Fairy Mo Qing's side and would only listen to her. The strange thing was that when it heard Fairy Mo Qing summoned today, the ice butterfly did not return immediately and continued flying around Yang Ruoxu and Su Zimo. When he saw that, a dark look flashed through the depths of Sword Immortal Yu Hua's eyes. At that moment, Fairy Mo Qing noticed Yang Ruoxu and Su Zimo as well and discovered the abnormality of the situation. "What happened here?" Fairy Mo Qing asked. Elder Jian coughed gently. Just as he was about to speak, he suddenly felt a chilling intent like a sharp sword hovering around his neck and could not help but shudder. His gaze shifted to Sword Immortal Yu Hua, who was in midair. Sword Immortal Yu Hua was expressionless and remained silent, merely glancing at him indifferently. However, with that single glance, Elder Jian knew that Sword Immortal Yu Hua was warning him. Although he was an inner sect disciplinary elder, be it in terms of cultivation or status, he was far inferior to Sword Immortal Yu Hua. Sword Immortal Yu Hua was one of the top 3 legacy disciples of the academy. Elder Jian sighed internally and remained silent. When Shaoli saw Sword Immortal Yu Hua's expression, he understood and smiled. "Senior sister Mo Qing, it's nothing much. It's just a small conflict between the outer sect disciples. They can handle it themselves." "Oh." Fairy Mo Qing nodded. Su Zimo looked at Yang Ruoxu. At that moment, Yang Ruoxu lowered his head and remained silent. In fact, he did not even look at Fairy Mo Qing, as though he had no intention of defending himself. Su Zimo was puzzled. The appearance of Fairy Mo Qing was Yang Ruoxu's only chance. Why did he not defend himself? Before long, Su Zimo thought of something and was enlightened. There were already many rumors between Yang Ruoxu and Fairy Mo Qing. At that moment, if Yang Ruoxu were to stand out and defend himself and seek help from Fairy Mo Qing, it would be difficult to explain things between the two of them and the rumors would spread further. The reason why Yang Ruoxu remained silent was because he was worried about Fairy Mo Qing's reputation. Anyone could speak up for this matter except Yang Ruoxu. At that thought, Su Zimo stood out. Everyone else was stunned by the might of Sword Immortal Yu Hua and the others and did not dare to say anything, worried that they would offend the legacy disciples. However, Su Zimo was not afraid. Since Yang Ruoxu helped him with this matter, he would definitely not let Yang Ruoxu endure the pressure of Sword Immortal Yu Hua and the others alone. Furthermore, there was already a conflict between him and Sword Immortal Yu Hua since a long time ago. Greetings, Senior Sister Mo Qing. Su Zimo cupped his fists and said loudly, I was the cause of this matter. Initially, under the murderous gazes of Sword Immortal Yu Hua, Shaoli, and the others, Su Zimo recounted the entire incident fearlessly. The more Shaoli and the others listened, the uglier their expressions became. The few of them wished that they could cripple Su Zimo right away. However, with Fairy Mo Qing present, no one could attack. Even Sword Immortal Yu Hua began to retract his sharpness. Fairy Mo Qing looked at Su Zimo on the sword discourse arena and gradually recalled that this green-robed scholar was the cultivator she saved from the immortal sex election 1,000 years ago. This person sure is bold. He even dares to stand out and tell the truth despite being under the pressure of senior brother Yu Hua and the others. Although Fairy Mo Qing's expression was indifferent, she praised internally. Chapter 2182, 2182 Jealous Killing Intent. 2182 Jealous Killing Intent. Sword Immortal Yu Hua looked at the calm and fearless outer sect disciple on the sword discourse arena and frowned slightly. He had a feeling that the green-robed cultivator looked familiar, as though he had seen him somewhere before. However, he could not recall anything at the moment. Senior Sister Mo Qing. After Su Zimo finished speaking, he bowed once more and said in a deep voice, everyone present witnessed the entire situation and can testify for me. I believe that the Academy will naturally judge whether it's right or wrong. Senior Sister Mo Qing, please report this matter to the Academy and uphold justice. Su Zimo's request was rather ingenious. He did not ask Fairy Mo Qing for help directly to clash head-on with Sword Immortal Yu Hua and the others. Instead, he asked her to help report it to the Academy. Fairy Mo Qing nodded slightly and said, all right, I'll relay the message to the Academy now. Shaoli and the others looked at Sword Immortal Yu Hua inquiringly. Sword Immortal Yu Hua shook his head gently. When Fairy Mo Qing appeared, he had already realized that this matter would most likely be left unsettled. I already know about this. Suddenly, an extremely dignified voice sounded above the outer sect. Third Elder. When they heard that voice, the expressions of Sword Immortal Yu Hua, Fairy Mo Qing and the others changed as they bowed slightly in the direction of the Academy. The third Elder of the Academy was in charge of all punishments and was the true disciplinary Elder of the Academy. Even legacy disciples of the Academy would have to be punished if they violated the rules. Chen Sheng and Lu Wenbin will be demoted to be servants of the Academy and will not be able to join the outer sect for the rest of their lives. The third Elder did not waste his breath and announced the punishment for this matter directly. This was an extremely severe punishment for Chen Sheng and Lu Wenbin. Although they were not kicked out of the Academy, the two of them could only be servants of Heaven and Earth Academy for the rest of their lives and cultivate at the bottom of the Academy. Chen Sheng and Lu Wenbin's faces were ashen. Initially, Lu Wenbin was in the top 20 of the outer sect competition. However, in the blink of an eye, he had fallen to the bottom and was reduced to a servant. The two of them had not expected this matter to turn out like this. Even legacy disciples and disciplinary elders of the academy were alarmed. The fight between Ting Yun and Su Zimo on the sword discourse arena was originally a normal spar. However, Ting Yun was instigated to use his essence spirit's secret skill and made the first move. He was killed instead and deserved to die. Pang Yu instigated Ting Yun first before disregarding sect rules to attack Su Zimo on the sword discourse arena. He was killed by Yang Ruoxu and deserved it. Many cultivators understood when they heard that. Today's matter was already decided and Elder Tang and Pang Yu would die without getting anything in return. Tang Peng and Yen Bingying looked terrible. On the other hand, Fang Qingyun's expression was calm and emotionless. Su Zimo heaved out a sigh of relief. Although this matter attracted Fang Qingyun, Shaoli, Sword Immortal Yu Hua and the others, the academy was fair. At the very least, it did not show any bias or suppress others with its might. Yang Ruoxu and Su Zimo are innocent, there's no need for any punishment. Everyone, please leave. The third elder's final statement could be considered as the conclusion. Little butterfly, what are you waiting for? Fairy Mo Qing frowned slightly and hollered at the ice butterfly on the sword discourse arena. This time round, the ice butterfly hesitated for a moment and circled around Su Zimo before flapping its wings and flying towards Fairy Mo Qing. Fairy Mo Qing did not stay for long, nor did she look at Yang Ruoxu or Su Zimo. She turned to leave with the ice butterfly. Senior brother. Shaoli and the others looked at Sword Immortal Yu Hua and called out softly. Let's go too. Sword Immortal Yu Hua's expression changed and the auspicious cloud beneath his feet floated away from the outer sect of the academy. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared from the line of sight of many cultivators. After leaving the academy, Shaoli harumphed coldly with a displeased expression and grumbled, "It's all the third elder's fault. There's no need for him to step in for such small matters of the outer sect." Sword Immortal Yu Hua remained silent with a dark expression. Senior brother, senior sister Mo Qing's appearance this time round should be a coincidence, right? Shaoli probed. Another person shook his head. Once might be a coincidence, but twice. At that point, Sword Immortal Yu Hua paused for a moment and narrowed his eyes, revealing a sharp killing intent. Initially, although Sword Immortal Yu Hua was displeased when he heard the rumors about Fairy Mo Qing and Yang Ruoxu, he did not take it seriously. In his eyes, Yang Ruoxu was only someone from the lower worlds. As an inner sect disciple, his cultivation was only at the grade 9 heaven immortal realm. The difference between painting immortal Mo Qing and Yang Ruoxu was way too great, it was like heaven and earth. How could junior sister Mo Qing fancy Yang Ruoxu? Sword Immortal Yu Hua did not take Yang Ruoxu as an opponent at all and did not take him seriously at all. However, this time round, Sword Immortal Yu Hua could not help but suspect something. It was no secret in Heaven and Earth Academy that he was courting Fairy Mo Qing. At the very least, many legacy disciples knew about this. However, Fairy Mo Qing had not agreed to it all these years. Perhaps it was because she was obsessed with the Tao of painting or some other reason. Sword Immortal Yu Hua did not give up either. Although many people in the academy admired Fairy Mo Qing, not many people dared to court her openly. Nobody dared to offend Sword Immortal Yu Hua or taste his moon essence sword casually. Today, Sword Immortal Yu Hua felt personally threatened. In his eyes, that inner sect disciple who was not worth mentioning seemed to truly have an indescribable relationship with junior sister Mo Qing. Mo Qing had a quiet personality and was obsessed with the Tao of painting. She disliked fighting and conflicts. Under normal circumstances, she would definitely not appear at an occasion like the immortal sect selection. However, 1,000 years ago, Mo Qing appeared in Coiling Dragon Mountain Range and saved Yang Ruoxu. It was the same today. There was another piece of evidence. The ice butterfly only listened to Mo Qing's orders. Sword Immortal Yu Hua had never seen the ice butterfly so close to anyone. However, today, the ice butterfly had been circling around Yang Ruoxu the entire time. Could the two of them have already developed to such an extent that the ice butterfly has acknowledged Yang Ruoxu? At the thought of this, Sword Immortal Yuhua's jealousy burned and turned into endless hatred. Fu. Suddenly, Sword Immortal Yuhua smiled and said, "Very good. I wasn't bothered by the rumors previously. However, this time round, I'll let you understand something. No one can dream about laying their hands on anyone that I fancy. Senior brother, what do you think we should do?" Shaoli made a beheading gesture and asked in a deep voice, "Should we kill him directly?" No. Sword Immortal Yuhua shook his head and revealed a cold smile. "Isn't it too easy on him to kill him directly? I'm going to turn him into a cripple, a complete cripple." "No problem." Shaoli nodded. Sword Immortal Yuhua sneered and murmured, "Junior sister, I really don't know what you like about him. This time round, we'll see whether you will still fancy him when he becomes a cripple." Fu. A sinister and cold laughter sounded from the gentle breeze like a fiend from hell. Shaoli and the other disciples of the academy could not help but shudder. Chapter 2183 Pang Clan. 2183 Pang Clan. Heaven and Earth Academy. After this matter, many cultivators gradually dispersed. However, the shock and impact caused by this matter would continue for a long time in the academy. After Su Zimo joined the outer sect, he entered seclusion and cultivated, almost never appearing. This time round, almost all the outer sect disciples knew that there was a ruthless person among them who killed a disciplinary elder in front of everyone. He alarmed inner sect disciples and legacy disciples one after another but managed to escape unscathed. Although he had only exchanged blows with Elder Ting once, he was already famous in the academy. On the sword discourse arena, Su Zimo bowed deeply to Yang Ruoxu and said sincerely, "Thank you for your help, senior brother Yang." Actually, Elder Tang and Pang Yu were both killed by Su Zimo on the sword discourse arena. If Yang Ruoxu had not taken all the pressure for him, he would most likely have been killed by Tang Pang and the others before the legacy disciples appeared. "You don't have to thank me." Yang Ruoxu shook his head gently. "Actually, this calamity of yours was related to me to begin with. Elder Tang was on good terms with Fang Qingyun and the others. Actually, he wanted to target me. However, you were implicated." Su Zimo frowned and asked, "I can see that they have a relatively deep feud with you, senior brother Yang. Is it just because you are from the lower worlds?" "That's only one of the reasons." Yang Ruoxu pondered for a moment and said, "In the academy, things are all right in the outer sect. The fights between disciples are not so obvious. However, there are many internal strifes between inner sect disciples and legacy disciples of the academy. All these years, I can't compare to Fang Qingyun and the others in terms of talent, background and combat strength. However, I represented the academy to host the immortal sect selection. Naturally, everyone was displeased. There's another reason." At that point, Yang Ruoxu suddenly paused and shook his head, not continuing. Su Zimo pondered for a moment and understood. The reason was most likely because of painting immortal Mo Qing. The rumors 1,000 years ago pushed Yang Ruoxu and Fairy Mo Qing to the center of the storm. The disciples of the academy naturally did not dare to criticize Fairy Mo Qing. However, their hostility towards Yang Ruoxu deepened. Furthermore, Sword Immortal Yuhua was courting Fairy Mo Qing. Even if Sword Immortal Yuhua did not take the initiative to target Yang Ruoxu, there would probably be people targeting the latter in order to please him. Or rather, no one in the academy dared to stand on the side of Yang Ruoxu. Siding with Yang Ruoxu meant going against Sword Immortal Yuhua. After today, the situation would only get more obvious. Yang Ruoxu would be completely isolated in the academy. "Try not to have any interactions with me in the academy from now on," Yang Ruoxu suddenly said. Although his expression was calm, there was a hint of loneliness in the depths of his eyes. "Senior brother Yang," Su Zimo called out softly. Just as he was about to console Yang Ruoxu, the latter patted him on the shoulder and smiled. "You're very good and your methods are decent. That time divine power was truly amazing. However, try not to release it in front of others in the future. At the very least, don't reveal this divine power before you cultivate to the heaven immortal realm." Su Zimo was puzzled and asked, "The elders of the academy have already come to a conclusion regarding today's matter. Could there be anyone in the academy who dares to take revenge in private?" Naturally, no one in the academy would dare to seek revenge in private. Yang Ruoxu said, however, Peng Yu's background is rather noble. In the divine firmament immortal domain, the Peng clan is considered as a major immortal Dao clan with a long history. Although they can't compare to the 3 immortal kingdoms and 4 immortal sects, the foundation and strength of the Peng clan are not to be underestimated. There are many paragons in the clan and there's even an immortal king holding down the fort. They're not to be trifled with. Peng Yu is a direct descendant of the Peng clan. The Peng clan will definitely not let this matter rest. Su Zimo finally understood when he heard that. Previously, Yang Ruoxu asked him not to admit it not only because he was worried about the pressure from the academy, but also the threat of the Peng clan outside the academy. Initially, those threats were going to land on him. But now, Yang Ruoxu took on everything alone. Yang Ruoxu looked at Su Zimo's worried eyes and suddenly smiled. "You don't have to worry. Although the Peng clan is powerful, they won't dare to cause trouble for me in the academy. Once I break through and condense my Dao fruit, become a perfected immortal and become a legacy disciple of the academy, they might not dare to touch me even outside the academy." No matter which faction they were in, perfected immortal disciples were core existences with the protection of immortal kings. "Senior brother Yang, you're amazing." Right then, Princess Scarlet Rainbow sped over and landed on the sword discourse arena. She bowed to Yang Ruoxu and praised. When he saw the outsider, Yang Ruoxu did not continue discussing this matter. He looked at Su Zimo and said, "The 10,000-year meet is about to begin and you have yet to reach the peak of grade 9. I'm afraid there will be a tough battle for the Earth ranking. Don't think that you can easily obtain the top of the Earth ranking just because you killed more than 100 Earth execution guards at the Immortal Sect's election single-handedly. Many paragons and monster incarnates will appear at the 10,000-year meet to fight for the number 1 of the Earth ranking. Their methods might not lose to yours. You must not be careless." Su Zimo nodded. Suddenly, a figure flashed through his mind and he asked, "Will Yunting be there? Prince Yunting of the Zixian Immortal Kingdom?" Yang Ruoxu was no stranger to that name and shook his head. "He won't go. According to the news I received, he has already cultivated to become a heaven immortal." "So fast." A look of shock flashed through Su Zimo's eyes before turning into regret. Noticing Su Zimo's gaze, Yang Ruoxu could not help but ask, "You actually feel a little regretful when you heard that Prince Yunting will not be taking part in the fight for the Earth ranking? Are you viewing him as a rival?" "Yes." Su Zimo nodded. "There will be a battle between us sooner or later. He possessed the heaven and earth slaying sword arts. Yunting possessed the human slaying sword art. Both of them wanted to snatch the other's sword art and fuse the 3 great sword arts. Impressive, you have the courage to view Yunting as a rival." Yang Ruoxu nodded slightly. "Who will lead us to the Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom for the Earth ranking this time round?" Suddenly, Su Zimo asked. He had already formed a feud with Fang Qingyun and the others. If Fang Qingyun led the group, it was difficult to guarantee that nothing would go wrong. "You don't have to worry about that." Yang Ruoxu said, "The elders of the inner sect will be bringing you guys there this time round. What you have to do is to do your best to obtain the number 1 of the Earth ranking." Pausing for a moment, Yang Ruoxu continued, "Right, there will be an additional reward for the number 1 in the academy. The secret pavilion in the academy contains many cultivation techniques, secret skills, divine powers and immortal arts. However, one will require contribution points from the sect if they want to browse through the secret pavilion and borrow anything to cultivate. However, if you obtain the number 1 of the Earth ranking, you can enter the Earth-grade secret pavilion and browse through all the secret skills and cultivation techniques without restrictions. Su Zimo's eyes lit up when he heard that. Chapter 2184, 2184 Chance Encounter in the Capital. 2184 Chance Encounter in the Capital. For others, they did not have the time and energy to cultivate too many cultivation techniques and divine powers. If any other cultivator obtained the reward for being the top of the Earth ranking, they would have to choose the best cultivation techniques and secret skills in the Earth-grade secret pavilion to cultivate. However, it was different for Su Zimo. The martial Dao prime body was deducing the next step of the cultivation dermic formulation and would not reject any cultivation techniques or secret skills. He did not need to cultivate and merely used the martial Dao furnace to smelt all the cultivation techniques and secret skills to search for what he needed and inspiration. No matter what, Su Zimo was determined to get to the top of the Earth ranking this time round. After a period of cultivation, the Academy activated the teleportation formation when it was close to the 10,000-year meet. 3 Heaven Immortal Elders of the Academy led Su Zimo, Princess Scarlet Rainbow and dozens of others to the Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom through the teleportation formation. If they were flying normally, the distance between the two places would be far. Even a grade 9 Heaven Immortal would require a few years to reach the capital of the Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom. However, using the teleportation formation, it only took dozens of breaths. Su Zimo and the others felt their vision go adrift, as though countless shadows were passing by. They felt a sense of weightlessness as though their bodies were being pulled and twisted. Thereafter, everyone landed on the ground and everything returned to normal. The moment everyone arrived at the capital of the Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom, they could clearly sense that this place was different from the Academy. The temperature here was much higher than in the Academy and was a little stuffy. Everywhere was a fiery red. All the structures were made of red bricks and some of them were even burning with thin flames that lasted for a long time. The Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom was filled with flames everywhere. I'm back. When Princess Scarlet Rainbow returned, she took a deep breath with a satisfied expression. She had lived in the capital since she was young and was long used to the environment here. Greetings, fellow Taoists. After everyone from the Academy appeared, guards near the teleportation formation walked over quickly and cupped their fists. The guards wore fiery red armor that emitted a scorching heat like metal plates. The guards swept their gazes across the waists of Su Zimo and the others and recognized their backgrounds. Fellow Taoists of Heaven and Earth Academy, you should be here for the 10,000-year meet, right? Prince Xie Ling has already instructed me to bring you guys to the palace to rest. A guard said in a deep voice. There's no need. Princess Scarlet Rainbow waved her hand. I can bring them there. Elder Zhong, Elder He, this is the first time everyone from the Academy is here. Let me show you guys around the capital. As for the resting palace, I know the location. I'll bring everyone there when the time comes. That works too. Elder Zhong nodded with a smile. Princess Scarlet Rainbow patted Su Zimo gently on the shoulder and teased, let's go. I'm familiar with this place. I'll show you around the capital, kiddo. The other cultivators of the Academy were curious as well and agreed. Su Zimo smiled and nodded. When they walked out of the teleportation formation area and arrived on the streets of the capital, they could feel the clamor and bustle of the capital. Due to the 10,000-year meet, the capital was filled with cultivators from the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain. Most of them were Earth Immortals. Even so, the wide streets of the Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom did not seem crowded. On both sides of the streets, cultivators from different sects and factions set up stalls selling various items. This 10,000-year meet was an immortality cultivation event that happened once every 10,000 years in the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain. The fight for the Earth ranking was only the main event. Most cultivators were not qualified to take part in the fight for the Earth ranking. To them, the 10,000-year meet was more importantly a grand event for exchanges and transactions between cultivators. Princess Scarlet Rainbow led Su Zimo and the others along the main street of the capital while explaining some interesting places in the capital. Exalted Immortal, we were the ones who took a liking to this iron sword first. Furthermore, we've already paid essence spirit stones. How can you snatch it by force? Right then, a clamor came from the side of the street not far ahead. Bullshit. Since when did our young master snatch your things? Someone cursed. Thereafter, there was a loud sound, as though someone had been slapped. The person continued cursing, our young master gave you double the essence spirit stones and you're still not satisfied? That slap is a lesson for you. Glancing over, Su Zimo suddenly frowned and paused. Something like this happened everywhere daily and he had no intention of paying attention to it initially. However, he caught sight of someone familiar through the crowd. When Princess Scarlet Rainbow saw Su Zimo looking over, she said, "The person who hit him is from the Shui clan. In the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain, they are considered as a major immortal Dao clan. For every Earth ranking, the Shui clan will have someone on it." Before Princess Scarlet Rainbow could finish, Su Zimo had already walked over. Everyone from the academy exchanged puzzled glances and followed suit. In the crowd, there were dozens of people from the Shui clan surrounding a young and handsome man. The person lowered his head slightly and scrutinized a rusty iron sword in his hands. In front of him was a slave-like cultivator. Although he was short, he had an overbearing attitude as he looked at the two people opposite him and gestured while cursing. The two people opposite him were a middle-aged man and a young man in ordinary robes. The middle-aged man was a grade 4 Earth Immortal while the young man was only a grade 9 Black Immortal. Half of the young man's face was swollen and there was a red palm print on it with blood seeping out. He glared at everyone from the Shui clan angrily. The middle-aged man had a worried expression and shielded the young man behind him, afraid that the latter would make a huge mistake out of impulse. "Hurry and pick up the essence spirit stones and leave. It's better to avoid trouble. The two of you are just ordinary cultivators of Water Cloud Sword Sect. How can an unknown black grade sect compare to the Shui clan? Do you have a death wish? It's already not bad that young Master Shui is willing to give you essence spirit stones. Yet, you're not satisfied?" The surrounding crowd discussed, some out of goodwill and some mocking. The middle-aged man sighed and squatted down slowly, reaching out to pick up a few essence spirit stones on the ground. Although the Shui clan had given them the essence spirit stones, they were thrown on the ground casually. Even if the middle-aged man was displeased, he could only endure it. The moment his palm touched an essence spirit stone, a foot stomped down at an extremely fast and powerful speed. Crack! He could not dodge in time and his palm was snapped. Ugh! The middle-aged man grunted and a layer of sweat appeared on his forehead instantly. He grit his teeth and trembled slightly. The servant of the Shui clan stepped forward and stomped on the middle-aged man's palm. Although he was only a servant of the Shui clan, his cultivation realm was at the level 6 Earth Essence realm and was 2 minor realms above the middle-aged man. "Father!" the young man exclaimed and took a few steps forward. He glared at the Shui clan servant opposite him and growled, "You dog, let go of my father." "Xiao Tian, shut up!" the middle-aged man hollered before raising his head slowly. He looked at the Shui clan servant and squeezed out a smile. "My child is too young and inexperienced. He doesn't know the rules. Exalted Immortal, please spare him this once." Chapter 2185, 2185 Name of the Academy. 2185 Name of the Academy. Initially, I had no intention of stooping to your level. All you had to do was scram over obediently and apologize to my young master. The Shui clan servant stepped on the middle-aged man's palm and glared at the young man not far away coldly. "However, you're a brat with a dirty mouth. How dare you scold me? Exalted Immortal, please calm down." Enduring the sharp pain in his palm, the middle-aged man forced a smile. "We don't want these essence spirit stones anymore. Take that iron sword as a gift for young Master Shui as an apology. Exalted Immortal, please show mercy." "Foo-foo. The Shui clan servant smiled smugly and glared at the young man not far away, cursing, "Brat, hurry and kneel down. Slap yourself." The young man's face was filled with rage and his swollen cheeks were filled with blood that had already turned purplish. "Brat, you're indignant?" The Shui clan servant cursed as he stomped on the middle-aged man's severed arm. The middle-aged man trembled in pain but remained silent. When he saw that, the young man's eyes were filled with tears and he could no longer hold on. Closing his eyes, he bent his knees and knelt on the ground. Suddenly, before the young man's knees touched the ground, he felt a tremendous resistance lifting his body slowly. The young man was stunned and looked over instinctively. Unknowingly, someone had appeared beside him. This person had moved to help him up. The person had refined features and wore green robes. Although thousands of years had passed, the young man recognized him at a glance and exclaimed, "Brother Su, it's you." Su Zimo nodded. The two of them had not seen each other for thousands of years and Su Zimo's appearance had not changed much. However, Su Xiaotian had already grown up. Those two were the former city lord of Dragon Abyss City, Su Shi, and his child, Su Xiaotian. At that time, when Su Zimo left the Dragon Abyss Star for Green Cloud County, it was Su Shi who pointed out the direction for him. "Brother Su." Su Shi turned to look at Su Zimo and a look of joy appeared on his pale face. Just as he said that, he realized something and changed his words hurriedly. "Exalted Immortal Su, it's been a long time. Take your feet away." Su Zimo looked at the servant of the Shui clan and said coldly, "Why? You think that you can threaten me just because your cultivation realm is 2 levels higher than mine?" When the Shui clan servant checked that Su Zimo was a grade 8 Earth Immortal, he was not afraid at all and sneered, "Why don't you open your eyes and see who you're talking to? How dare you provoke someone from the Shui clan?" Suddenly, a figure crossed 100 feet and arrived before the Shui clan servant in the blink of an eye. The voice of the Shui clan servant stopped abruptly. Immediately after, the figure of the Shui clan servant was sent flying. While he was in midair, his heart exploded and an arrow of blood spurted out from his chest as the sound of bones cracking could be heard from his body. By the time the Shui clan servant fell to the ground, his entire body was as soft as mud and his tendons and bones were shattered, turning his organs into a puddle of blood. His entire body was severely injured and completely crippled. It was only then that the surrounding crowd reacted and exclaimed. Many cultivators of the Shui clan were alerted and their palms landed on their storage bags, ready to summon their dermic treasures at any moment as they glared at Su Zimo with unfriendly expressions. Young Master Shui, who was protected by everyone from the Shui clan, frowned slightly as well and raised his head to look at Su Zimo. His gaze landed on the sect badge on Su Zimo's waist and paused for a moment. Su Zimo helped Su Shi up. Su Shi was not severely injured. Given his cultivation as an Earth Immortal, he would recover completely after recuperating for a while. However, it was different for the Shui clan servant. His body was crippled by Su Zimo, leaving only a frightened essence spirit. He ran to young Master Shui and cried loudly, "Exalted Immortal, be careful. The Shui clan is powerful. Please don't be implicated because of us." Su Shi said softly with a worried expression. He knew very well that even if everyone from his sect, Water Cloud Sword Sect, were here, they would not dare to offend young Master Shui, let alone the fact that Su Zimo was a grade 8 Earth Immortal. A single sentence from young Master Shui could raise the entire Water Cloud Sword Sect to the ground. "Young Master, you have to uphold justice for me." The essence spirit of the Shui clan servant dimmed as he ran over and lamented, "Although I'm only a dog of the Shui clan, those who want to attack me have to be wary of my masters. This person attacked me directly and disregarded your status. He's simply looking down on the Shui clan." Poof! Before the person could finish, young Master Shui suddenly waved the iron sword in his hands and sliced the person's essence spirit into 2. The servant died on the spot with his essence spirit destroyed. Even till his death, this person had not expected that he would die in the hands of his master. "Greetings, fellow Taoist. I'm Shui Yuan. My servant is blind and offended you, so I killed him for you. You don't have to stoop to his level, fellow Taoist. Young Master Shui cupped his fists towards Su Zimo and greeted with a smile. How may I address you, fellow Taoist? Shui Yuan's attitude surprised Su Shi and his son. Shui Yuan was a grade 9 Earth Immortal to begin with. Most of the Shui clan cultivators around him were also grade 8 or 9 Earth Immortals and were extremely strong. Logically speaking, Shui Yuan should not show weakness. Many cultivators watching were puzzled as well and discussed softly. What's the background of this person to be able to make young Master Shui back down? The sect badge on that person's waist looks familiar. It seems to be Heaven and Earth Academy. Someone exclaimed. The moment those words were said, it was like a stone that caused 1,000 levels of waves, causing a huge reaction in the crowd. Heaven and Earth Academy of the 4 immortal sects. Disciples of the academy have appeared. Su Shi and Su Shaotian were shocked. Although they had heard of the 4 immortal sects, such sects were way beyond their reach. Compared to Heaven and Earth Academy, the Water Cloud Sword sect they were in was like an insignificant ant. Back in Dragon Abyss City, Su Shi could tell that Su Zimo had a lot of potential. However, he could not imagine that after just a few thousand years, this scholarly man had already joined Heaven and Earth Academy, one of the 4 immortal sects. Back in Dragon Abyss City, Su Shi's cultivation realm was even higher than Su Zimo's. But now, the difference between the two of them was like heaven and earth. It was no wonder why Shui Yuan would have such an attitude. Although the Shui clan was a major immortal Dao clan with immense strength and a deep foundation, they were slightly inferior compared to Heaven and Earth Academy. Return that sword to them. Su Zimo did not reply to Shui Yuan's question. Instead, he pointed to the iron sword in Shui Yuan's hands. Shui Yuan frowned slightly with a hesitant expression before saying with a smile, fellow Taoist, I spent essence spirit stones to buy this sword. Even if you're a disciple of the academy, you can't snatch it by force, right? Naturally, the reason why he was here was to take part in the 10,000-year meet and fight for a spot on the Earth ranking. Given his methods and combat strength, he should be able to be ranked around 50 on the Earth ranking. Therefore, he was not afraid at all when he saw that Su Zimo was only a grade 8 Earth Immortal. More importantly, the Shui clan had produced an even more powerful paragon in this generation that was right behind him. The combat strength of this paragon could definitely be ranked in the top 20 of the Earth ranking. 2 Earth ranking experts, that was Shui Yuan's confidence. Chapter 2186, 2186 Thunderous Methods. 2186 Thunderous Methods. Apart from the 2 potential Earth ranking experts, the reason why Shui Yuan dared to challenge a disciple of the academy was because this was the capital of the Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom. If a conflict was too serious, the capital guards would definitely come to maintain order. There was something strange about the iron sword. Since he had already obtained it, there was no reason for him to give it up. Aren't you going to return it? Su Zimo murmured softly with a calm tone. Shui Yuan smiled gently. Just as he was about to speak and continue beating around the bush, he felt his vision blur as a figure tore through the air with a suffocating aura. Su Zimo had already closed in and was less than a foot away. It was too fast. Earlier on, he was a refined and scholarly scholar. In the blink of an eye, he seemed to have transformed into an ancient beast that could devour the world. His malevolent chi was almost corporeal as it surged over. Shui Yuan's heart skipped a beat and his expression changed. He was fearful and his aura was suppressed instantly. This is bad. Shui Yuan's heart skipped a beat. At that moment, he realized that he had lost the initiative and would definitely not be able to defend against Su Zimo's next attack. Retreat. Shui Yuan retreated rapidly. Before he could summon his dermic treasure, he conjured hand seals with both hands and channeled his spirit consciousness to condense divine powers. At the same time, a phantom-like figure appeared behind him and his blood chi burst forth with the sound of a tsunami. He raised his fist and punched towards Su Zimo, who was approaching. It was Dou Yuan, the one who could potentially be ranked in the top 20 of the Earth ranking. Initially, Dou Yuan's background was ordinary. However, because of his outstanding talent, he was selected by the Shui clan and groomed intensively. Gradually, he became famous in the Divine Firmament Immortal domain. After the fight for the Earth ranking this time round, the Shui clan was prepared to grant him the surname Shui. Scram! Su Zimo hollered and punched towards Dou Yuan's fist without even looking at him. Bang! The fists collided and the surrounding void shook. The sound of bones grinding echoed in an extremely jarring manner. Su Zimo paused for a moment and stomped on the ground, causing the long street to tremble. His speed increased once more as he chased after Shui Yuan. Dou Yuan's expression changed starkly as he retreated in succession. Every single step landed heavily on the long street, letting out reverberating echoes. You're quite capable to be able to take a punch from me. Su Zimo brushed past Dou Yuan and said indifferently. Initially, Dou Yuan intended to knock Su Zimo back with his punch. However, he did not expect that his punch merely caused Su Zimo to pause for a moment. As for him, he was almost sent flying and his tsunami blood chi was disrupted by Su Zimo's punch. The reason why he was thought to be able to be ranked in the top 20 of the Earth ranking was because he had a strong physique, shocking stamina, surging blood chi and terrifying melee combat strength. However, he had not expected that he would be forced back by a single punch from a seemingly frail scholar today. When Dou Yuan saw Su Zimo rushing towards Shui Yuan, he wanted to step forward and save Shui Yuan. However, the moment he moved, he felt his chest churn. He hurriedly raised his sleeves and covered his face. Thereafter, he opened his mouth and spat out an arrow of blood that splattered on his sleeves. At that moment, everyone's attention was drawn to Su Zimo and no one saw that. Dou Yuan was shocked. He was injured with a single punch. Who was this academy disciple? On the other side, Su Zimo's speed was shocking and he caught up to Shui Yuan, who was retreating in the blink of an eye. With a burning gaze, he extended his palm and condensed the Great Chaos Essence palm to suppress the latter. Kill! Shui Yuan roared and released his greater divine power, the Azura Dao. At the same time, the Shui clan guards around him attacked one after another. Some of them summoned dermic treasures, some released immortal arts and some condensed divine powers. Break! Against the surrounding dermic treasures, immortal arts and divine powers, Su Zimo did not dodge or avoid and shouted. Although the voice was not as terrifying as the Dragon Roar secret skill, it contained the dermic formulation of the sound domain's secret skills such as Thunderclap Kill. The expressions of the surrounding Shui clan guards changed. The divine powers and immortal arts that were just condensed dissipated. The dermic treasures that were summoned fell from midair as well. The guards had pained expressions and hugged their heads with both hands. They felt a sharp pain in their ears as their minds buzzed and went blank. These people could barely protect themselves, let alone Shui Yuan. Su Zimo did not activate the Dragon Roar secret skill directly. On the one hand, it was his trump card and he would not use it casually. On the other hand, the Shui clan guards would most likely be shocked to death if the Dragon Roar secret skill was released. Su Zimo merely wanted to teach Shui Yuan a lesson and retrieve the iron sword. He did not want to start a massacre and there was no deep feud between them. On the other side, Dou Yuan's blood chi had already calmed down. The moment he moved forward, he heard that shout before he could attack. His blood chi rumbled and he could not hold it in any longer. He covered his lips hurriedly and spat out another mouthful of blood. Shui Yuan, who was the closest, shuddered as well. However, his physique was extraordinary and he grit his teeth to defend against it. Although his greater divine power showed signs of dissipating, it did not disappear. Right then, the Great Chaos Essence palm descended. Boom! Even the materialized Azura Dao might not be able to defend against Su Zimo's Great Chaos Essence palm, let alone a greater divine power that was almost dispersed. The Azura Dao was destroyed by a single palm strike and a gigantic palm descended. Shui Yuan had nowhere to run as he gripped the iron sword in his hands and stabbed in reverse. When the great chaos essence palm descended and was about to make contact with the iron sword, all the power suddenly dissipated. That ferocious and crushing power suddenly turned into a gentle power. There was no sluggishness in the transition between toughness and softness. It was astounding. Su Zimo placed his palm on the iron sword. With a coil and a tremble, he snatched the iron sword away barehanded. At the same time, he took another step forward and pushed down on Shui Yuan's chest. You! Shui Yuan's heart skipped a beat and his reaction was extremely fast. He retracted his entire chest as though it had caved in. At the same time, he pulled back his arm and blocked in front of him. Humph! Su Zimo sneered and pushed Shui Yuan's arm gently before retreating. Crack! Shui Yuan's arm was snapped. Crack! 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 Immediately after, a series of crackling sounds came from Shui Yuan's chest, as though beans were being fried. His body went limp and he collapsed to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. A gigantic and clear palm print appeared on Shui Yuan's chest. Pust! Everyone gasped. Earlier on, Su Zimo's palm strike seemed light and powerless. To think that it would possess such a terrifying might. Not only did he snap Shui Yuan's arm, the latter's sternum was shattered and his heart was ruptured. Both parties exchanged blows extremely quickly. From the moment Su Zimo attacked till the end, it only took 4 to 5 breaths. Su Zimo was still standing where he was exactly, as though he had never moved. His green robes were spotless without any wrinkles. However, there was an additional iron sword in his hands. As for the Shui clan opposite, they were in a mess. Dou Yuan's expression was terrible. The Shui clan guards were at a loss and Shui Yuan had fallen to the ground, severely injured. Such thunderous methods created a massive commotion in the crowd nearby. Chapter 2187, 2187 defeated. 2187 defeated. Who is that? His methods are so terrifying that even 2 experts who have the potential to be ranked on the Earth ranking were suppressed by him. I'm not sure. The ranking for the outer sect competition of the Academy has long been spread. There doesn't seem to be any Earth immortal with the aura of a scholar. More and more cultivators gathered here. Some of them could recognize the other disciples of the Academy, but they had never seen Su Zimo before. Ever since Su Zimo joined the Academy, he had been in seclusion. Cultivators who joined the Academy were normally grade 8 or 9 Earth immortals and did not need to cultivate in seclusion. Most of these outer sect disciples would accept the many missions assigned by the Academy and train in the Divine Firmament Immortal domain. While completing the missions, they would gradually make a name for themselves. Someone suddenly said, "Don't forget, at the Immortal Sect selection 1,000 years ago, the Academy accepted a ruthless person." You're referring to that guy with the surname Su? The one who killed more than 100 execution guards of the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom? That's right, that's him. His name is Su Zimo. The discussions in the crowd grew louder and louder. What happened? A few figures pushed through the crowd and barged in. Their expressions changed when they saw the injured Shui Yuan and the others. "Uncle, you're here." With a pained expression, Shui Yuan wiped away the blood at the corner of his lips. The cultivation realms of the Shui clan cultivators were all at the Heaven Essence realm. There were 3 grade 8 Heaven Immortals and a grade 9 Heaven Immortal. Shui Yuan's uncle, Shui Qian, was a grade 9 Heaven Immortal and was quite famous in the Divine Firmament Immortal domain. Who did this? Shui Qian hollered and followed Shui Yuan's gaze. Turning around, he locked onto Su Zimo with a murderous expression. But soon, his expression changed and the killing intent in his eyes lessened significantly. He caught sight of the sect badge on Su Zimo's waist. It was the badge of Heaven and Earth Academy. A disciple of the Academy? Shui Qian's expression was terrible. Su Zimo felt emotional when he sensed the change in Shui Qian. After he joined the academy, he cultivated in seclusion. After coming out of seclusion, he merely had a conflict and fought against 2 people in the outer sect. He had never left the academy nor roamed the world outside. It was only at this moment that he experienced the power of Heaven and Earth Academy. The killing intent of this grade 9 Heaven Immortal from a major Immortal Dao clan had already been condensed to its limits and could injure anyone at any moment. However, when that person saw the Academy's badge on his waist, his expression clearly changed and he revealed a wary expression. Ever since Su Zimo appeared to settle this matter, no one else from the Academy interfered. Even so, Xue Qian and the others did not dare to act rashly. The fight between Xue Yuan and Dou Yuan could be considered as a spar between cultivators of the same cultivation realm. It was nothing much. However, if Xue Qian attacked Su Zimo, he would be bullying someone beneath his level and Heaven and Earth Academy would definitely not tolerate it. The terror of the academy was still reflected in the surrounding cultivators. Su Zimo could clearly sense that everyone was looking at him with reverence, admiration and even awe. This was an experience he had never experienced after ascending and escaping for thousands of years. He came from the lower worlds. After he ascended, in the eyes of many cultivators, his status was inferior. However, at that moment, it was as though there was a halo above his head. A disciple of the academy. In the divine firmament immortal domain, no one dared to underestimate disciples of the academy. The disciples of the academy sure are impressive. They can attack people casually before the fight for the earth ranking even begins. Xue Qian looked at Su Zimo with a mocking tone. I wouldn't dare to. Su Zimo said indifferently, the academy can't compare to the Xue clan. You guys can snatch the items of others just because you fancy it. How domineering. Xue Qian frowned slightly and looked down at Xue Yuan who was sitting on the ground. Xue Yuan felt guilty and did not dare to meet Xue Qian's gaze. Everyone had witnessed this and he did not dare to lie. Xue Qian cursed internally. He knew that they were in the wrong and today's matter would most likely be left unsettled. Why are so many people gathered here? Right then, a dignified voice sounded from the distant skies. Xue Qian's eyes lit up. In the capital of the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom, other than the guards of the capital or perfected immortal experts, other cultivators could not fly in the capital. Given the commotion here, the capital guards must have arrived. He was wary of the academy, but the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom was not. The Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom was a behemoth that was comparable to Heaven and Earth Academy. Furthermore, this was the capital of the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom. No matter how strong the disciples of the academy were, they had to abide by the rules of the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom. It was not convenient for him to attack, but he could make use of the power of the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom to teach this academy disciple a lesson. At that thought, Xue Qian turned around and looked at a group of capital guards speeding over from midair. He cupped his fists. Greetings, Commander. I'm Xue Qian of the Xue clan. Fellow Daoist Xue, I've heard a lot about you. When the capital commander saw that it was Xue Qian of the Xue clan, his expression softened as he nodded slightly and cupped his fists in return. Xue Qian pointed at Su Zimo and said in a deep voice, just because he's a disciple of the academy, this person here fought in the capital and injured many of our Xue clan members in succession. I didn't lay my hands on this person because this is the capital of the Immortal Kingdom and I don't want to cause chaos in the capital. Please uphold justice for the Xue clan, Commander. The capital commander frowned slightly and turned to look at Su Zimo with a troubled expression. If it was any ordinary cultivator, he would just capture them and imprison them for a few days to teach them a lesson. However, this was a disciple of Heaven and Earth Academy. Commander Xan. Just as he was in a dilemma, a woman's voice sounded from the crowd. Instinctively, he looked in the direction of the voice and saw a woman in scarlet armor in the crowd come to Su Zimo's side with a smile. Long time no see, Commander Xan. Greetings, Princess Scarlet Rainbow. Commander Xan was stunned and bowed hurriedly. The many capital guards behind him bowed as well. Xue Qian was stunned and had a bad feeling. Princess Scarlet Rainbow waved her hand. There's nothing major here. It's just that the young master of the Shui clan snatched someone else's belongings. My junior brother could not take it lying down and merely sparred with young Master Shui in a friendly manner. It's nothing serious. This was a friendly spar. Commander Xian glanced at Shui Yuan, who was slumped on the ground, and muttered internally. Young Master Shui was severely injured and would most likely not have a chance to take part in the fight for the Earth ranking. He had long heard that Princess Scarlet Rainbow had joined Heaven and Earth Academy. Now that Princess Scarlet Rainbow had appeared, he retreated hurriedly. I see. Commander Xian nodded slightly and said, Indeed, there will often be small conflicts in the capital. As long as it's nothing serious, it's nothing much. That's right. Princess Scarlet Rainbow said with a smile, Commander Xian, patrol elsewhere. There's nothing much here and we'll disperse before long. I'll take my leave. Commander Xian cupped his fists once more and left with the capital guards behind him, disappearing before long. Shui Qian was so angry that he nearly vomited blood. Farewell. Shui Qian's face turned green and purple. Finally, he said those words and supported Shui Yuan, turning to leave with everyone from the Shui clan, disappearing into the crowd. Chapter 2188, 2188 Xia Qingcheng. 2188 Xia Qingcheng. Scarlet Rainbow. Right then, a man's call sounded not far away. It was intimate and magnetic. One could feel a warm power just by listening to his voice. Su Zimo glanced sideways and saw a white-robed man walking over slowly from the long street not far away. Su Zimo was slightly stunned when he saw that person. The surrounding cultivators exclaimed as well. This man was way too beautiful and his features were handsome without any flaws. He was like a jade statue and was even prettier than many fairies and beauties. If not for his preconceived notion that this was a man's voice, in this sudden encounter, Su Zimo would not have believed that the person before him was a man. Princess Scarlet Rainbow was already a rare beauty. However, she was slightly inferior in front of this person. The appearance of the white-robed man was way too dazzling. At that moment, all the cultivators on the long street, be it men or women, paled in comparison. That's a man? Su Zimo looked at the person in confusion. Brother Qingcheng. When Princess Scarlet Rainbow saw who it was, her eyes lit up and she was filled with smiles as she ran over and threw herself into the person's embrace. Su Zimo was finally certain when he heard her address him as Brother Qingcheng. He looked around. On both sides of the long street, there were still many cultivators staring at the white-robed man in a daze, as though they had lost their souls. Among them, female cultivators were not the only ones, even male cultivators were not spared. Qingcheng. Su Zimo thought to himself, this person's name is rather apartment. Indeed, he is devastatingly beautiful one. Brother Qingcheng, why are you here? Princess Scarlet Rainbow raised her head and asked coquettishly. The white-robed man had a doting expression as he chuckled. You went out to cultivate alone and didn't come home to visit after such a long time. I missed you. Aren't I back now? Princess Scarlet Rainbow pouted her lips. In front of the white-robed man, Princess Scarlet Rainbow did not have the slightest bit of arrogance as a princess. Instead, her tone carried a hint of wheedling. It was clear that the two of them were rather close. As the white-robed man chatted with Princess Scarlet Rainbow, he even raised his head and looked at everyone from Heaven and Earth Academy with a smile. The white-robed man's gaze seemed to sweep past everyone from the academy, but he did not seem to ignore anyone. After coming into contact with everyone, it felt like a spring breeze. Princess Scarlet Rainbow chatted with the white-robed man for a while more before coming to a realization. She pulled the white-robed man to the front of everyone from the academy and said, Brother Qingcheng, these are the elders of our academy. These are my fellow sect mates, the top 20 Earth Immortal Paragons of the Outer Sect competition. After a brief pause, Princess Scarlet Rainbow pointed to the white-robed man and said to everyone from the academy, This is my brother. Greetings, elders and fellow Taoists. I'm Xia Qingcheng. The white-robed man cupped his fists towards everyone from the academy with a smile. So, it's Prince Qingsheng. We've heard a lot about you. The elders of the academy exchanged glances and returned the greeting hurriedly. Xia Qingsheng's cultivation realm was around a grade 5 heaven immortal and could not compare to the elders of the academy. However, he was a prince of the young immortal kingdom after all, and the elders of the academy did not dare to be negligent. My status as a prince is merely a title. Xia Qingsheng smiled gently. I'm of the same generation as Scarlet Rainbow and can be considered as a junior compared to you guys. Elders, please just call me fellow Daoist. And no. The elders of the academy declined hurriedly. After ascending, Su Zimo had seen some princes and princesses as well. Xia Qingsheng was the only one who did not have the airs of a prince and was approachable. Born in the royal family and possessing the bloodline of the royal family, it was indeed rare for him to possess such bearing and temperament. Brother Qingsheng, he's Su Zimo. Right then, Princess Scarlet Rainbow pointed to Su Zimo in the middle of everyone from the academy and added. Greetings, fellow Daoist Su. Xia Qingsheng cupped his fists towards Su Zimo once more and smiled. Scarlet Rainbow has not returned home all these years. However, she often mentions you in her letters. Brother, you're the best to me. You're the only one who came to receive me personally. When she heard Xia Qingsheng mention this, Princess Scarlet Rainbow blushed and hurriedly changed the topic. Second brother merely sent a guard to greet us at the teleportation formation. Your second brother has to prepare to host the 10,000-year meet. Naturally, he has a lot of work to do and can't leave. Xia Qingsheng said, I have nothing much to do as a prince, so I came to pick you up. Let's go. I've already prepared a banquet in the palace to welcome you guys. Sure. Princess Scarlet Rainbow said, Elder Zhong, Elder He, Su Zimo, let's go together. Everyone from the academy did not decline and prepared to leave with Xia Qingsheng. In the crowd, Su Shi looked at Su Zimo, who was in the middle of everyone from the academy, with envy, admiration and emotions. In just a few thousand years, the scholar from the Dragon Abyss Star had already grown to such an extent. He single-handedly suppressed the major immortal Dao clan, the Shui clan, so badly that they did not dare to retaliate. He could still stand here and chat merrily with the princes and princesses of the Yan-Yang immortal kingdom. There was only yearning and longing in Su Xiaotian's eyes. That's how life as a human should be led. Su Xiaotian murmured softly. Forget it, no matter how much we struggle, we can't win against fate. Su Shi sighed gently. Our lives will not be wasted if we can make a name for ourselves in Water Cloud Sword Sect. Water Cloud Sword Sect was only a black-grade sect and had limited cultivation resources. Su Shi knew that the difference between them would only increase. I almost forgot that I haven't returned this sword to you. Just as Su Shi and Su Xiaotian were feeling emotional, a voice sounded. Unknowingly, Su Zimo had arrived before the two of them and handed them the rusty iron sword. No, no, no. Su Shi declined hurriedly and said, Exalted Immortal Su, you helped us tide through this calamity earlier on. This iron sword should belong to you. Put it away. Su Zimo smiled and stuffed the iron sword into Su Xiaotian's hands. Although the iron sword was indeed a little strange, he would not take advantage of the situation. Brother Su. Su Xiaotian had been silent earlier on. Now, he finally mustered his courage and clenched his fists, saying with a trembling voice. However, he suddenly felt that his manner of addressing was inappropriate and changed it hurriedly. Mr. Su, can you take me in as your disciple? Su Zimo remained silent. It was fate that they were reunited here. However, it was not to the point where he was tempted to take in a disciple. Furthermore, he had many enemies in the upper world and it might not be a good thing for someone to become his disciple. If you don't want me as a disciple, I can do chores. It's fine as long as I can stay by your side, Mr. Su Xiaotian continued hurriedly, looking at Su Zimo nervously and expectantly. I'm afraid that won't do. Su Zimo shook his head gently. Su Xiaotian's expression darkened. At the side, Princess Scarlet Rainbow explained, "We're only outer sect disciples in Heaven and Earth Academy. We're not qualified to bring our own servants into the academy. Don't be discouraged." When Su Zimo saw that Su Xiaotian was a little disappointed, he consoled him, "There's no need for you to be a servant. If your cultivation is high enough, you can take part in the immortal sect election that happens once every 100 years. There's a chance for you to become a true disciple of the academy." Chapter 2189, 2189 Reincarnated Immortals. 2189 Reincarnated Immortals. The immortal sex election was almost the fairest opportunity for cultivators of divine firmament mainland to change their lives. No matter where one was from previously, as long as they could pass the immortal sex election and join the 4 immortal sects, they would only have a single identity from then on, a disciple of an immortal sect. Even the outer sect disciples of the 4 immortal sects were superior to other cultivators of the same cultivation realm everywhere in divine firmament mainland. However, how difficult was it to pass the immortal sect selection? Only 100 people would be selected for the immortal sect selection that was held once every 100 years. This meant that on average, only one Earth immortal of divine firmament mainland was qualified to join the 4 immortal sects every year. Su Shi was getting older and no longer had his drive. His future accomplishments were limited. In Su Xiaotian's eyes, Su Zimo could see a vigor and a desire for strength, just like himself in Pingyang town back then. However, Water Cloud Sword sect was only a black-grade sect and had limited cultivation resources. Even if Su Xiaotian had that temperament and talent, it would be difficult for him to stand out in an environment where resources were scarce. Su Zimo sighed internally. He had another layer of worry. This time round, Su Shi and Su Xiaotian had a conflict with the major immortal Dao clan, the Shui clan. Because of him, the 2 of them were saved. However, both parties had already formed grudges. No matter how bold the Shui clan was, they would not dare to cause trouble for him casually. However, there was a high chance that the Shui clan would take revenge on Su Xiaotian and Su Shi. There was a high chance that this would be a calamity for the father and son. There was no way Water Cloud Sword sect could protect the 2 of them. Su Zimo fell into deep thought in silence. "If the 2 of you don't mind, you can follow me and start as an ordinary guard." Unknowingly, Xia Qingqing had arrived beside Su Zimo and smiled at Su Shi and Su Xiaotian. Even towards Su Shi and Su Xiaotian, there was no arrogance or contempt in Xia Qingqing's eyes and he had a calm expression. "Prince Qingqing, you..." Su Zimo was shocked. Xia Qingqing smiled at Su Zimo and nodded. Su Zimo did not say anything. The prince seemed to have already seen through his difficulties and his decision was also to help him resolve this matter. Xia Qingqing said, "The ordinary guards at my side will naturally gain much better cultivation resources than anyone in black-grade sections. As long as you're talented enough, you'll have a chance to be my personal guard in the future." Su Shi and Su Xiaotian were stunned on the spot and could not recover for a moment. The beautiful prince before them was truly out of reach for the 2 of them. The difference in status between them was too great. Both of them could not believe it when they heard that invitation. The 2 of them looked towards Su Zimo instinctively. Su Zimo nodded. It was naturally the best place to be by Xia Qingqing's side. Cultivation resources were only one of the reasons. More importantly, Su Shi and Su Xiaotian were safe by Xia Qingqing's side. At the very least, they no longer had to fear the Shui clan. "Thank you, Your Highness." Su Shi hurriedly pulled Su Xiaotian and knelt down towards Xia Qingqing. "There's no need." Before the 2 of them knelt down, Xia Qingqing waved his sleeves and released an invisible force that lifted them up. "I'll have someone send a letter to Water Cloud Sword sect later to report this matter. Don't worry about this." Su Shi and Su Xiaotian were flattered. The 2 of them bowed to Su Zimo gratefully. Both of them could tell that if not for Su Zimo, Xia Qingqing would definitely not take them in. "Thank you, Your Highness." Su Zimo looked at Xia Qingqing and cupped his fists in thanks as well. Xia Qingqing shook his head and smiled. It's nothing much, don't worry. I'm just a prince with no power. If they have a better place to go in the future, they can leave at any time. Su Zimo lamented. There were decent people in the upper world as well. Although Xia Qingqing helped him, he did not try to get anything out of it or even give Su Shi and Su Xiaotian any pressure. Bring them back and make arrangements. Xia Qingqing instructed the two guards behind him. Fellow Taoists, this way. The two guards left with Su Shi and Su Xiaotian. Right then, a complicated secret cultivation technique appeared in Su Shi and Su Xiaotian's minds. Immediately after, Su Zimo's voice sounded in their minds. I obtained the divine elephant breathing technique after killing a paragon. This cultivation technique is extremely domineering and ferocious. When cultivated to its limits, it's not weaker than many top cultivation techniques of the upper world. As for how far you guys can cultivate this cultivation technique, that will depend on your own fate and talent. In addition, this cultivation technique must not be leaked after you cultivate it. Su Shi and Su Xiaotian shuddered and looked at Su Zimo instinctively. At that moment, Su Zimo had already followed everyone from the academy and left with Xia Qingqing, leaving only his back view. Su Shi and his son exchanged grateful glances. On the other side, in Su Zimo's opinion, it was fate that he was able to reunite with Su Shi and his son here. He could not take Su Xiaotian in as his disciple, or could he keep the two of them by his side to enter the academy together. As such, he imparted the divine elephant breathing technique to the two of them as compensation. The cultivation techniques he cultivated were complicated, but there were many that were inconvenient to impart and might not be suitable for the two of them to cultivate. This divine elephant breathing technique was the most suitable. If the two of them could cultivate this cultivation technique to greater mastery, they would be able to stand out among the many guards. Up till now, Su Zimo still remembered the monster incarnate, Fang Xian, who cultivated the divine elephant breathing technique. Back in the emperor's tomb, with this cultivation technique, Fang Xian even managed to escape from Yunting's human-slaying sword qi. In the end, it was also because of the combined attack of Su Zimo, Yunting and Feng Zi that he was killed on the spot. If not for that, it would have taken Su Zimo some effort to suppress him. Brother, how many people from the academy are in the top 10 of the Earth ranking this time round? What are my senior brother Yi Fei's and Su Zimo's rankings? Along the way, Princess Scarlet Rainbow asked. Yi Fei was the number 1 of Heaven and Earth Academy's outer sect competition this time round. Before the fight for the Earth ranking began, someone had already ranked the rough rankings for many cultivators to read. The fight for the Earth ranking this time round was way too intense, and Heaven and Earth Academy did not have much of an advantage this time round. Xia Qingqing shook her head gently. There are no Academy disciples in the top 10. What? That's impossible. Princess Scarlet Rainbow's face was filled with doubt as she grumbled, who made up that ranking? How can there be no one from the Academy in the top 10? On the other hand, Elder Zhong of the Academy was extremely calm. According to the news I received, there are indeed some monster incarnates among the Earth Immortals fighting for the Earth ranking this time round. Yi Fei might not be able to squeeze into the top 10. The Academy has already expected that. You guys don't have to feel pressured. Just compete normally. I don't believe you. Princess Scarlet Rainbow pouted and asked, who is the number 1 this time round? Xia Qingqing said, the top 2 of the Earth ranking this time round are almost certain. It's just a matter of who is first and second. Yunting isn't taking part either. Who can be so powerful? Princess Scarlet Rainbow asked indignantly. Xia Qingqing smiled. Even Yunting might not be able to get first place. That's because both of them are reincarnated immortals. Chapter 2190 Earth Ranking. 2190 Earth Ranking. Reincarnated immortals. Those words possessed a shuddering magic. Princess Scarlet Rainbow no longer said anything, and the crowd accompanying her suddenly fell silent. From the martial Tao prime body, Su Zimo learned that if one wanted to be reborn, they would at least have to be at the hollow nether perfected one realm. Otherwise, if they died, their souls would dissipate and they would enter the cycle of reincarnation. It was unknown what living beings they would become in the future or which world they would be born in. In fact, they might even be reincarnated into minor kiliacosms and turn into livestock. Even if they were lucky and had a decent background, it meant that their past selves had vanished. However, perfected immortals who cultivated to the hollow nether realm could be reborn with the imprint of their previous lives and had a high chance of being reborn in the world of their previous lives. If they were guided by an expert of their previous lives, they could even rejoin their sections. By the time they cultivated to the perfected one realm again, they would be able to recover memories of their previous lives. Xia Qingqing continued, the reincarnated immortal of Flying Immortal Sect's Dao title is Tai Hua. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, he was originally a legacy disciple of Flying Immortal Sect. In this generation, he was guided by the sect master of Flying Immortal Sect. Upon his reincarnation, he joined Flying Immortal Sect again and his Dao title remains unchanged. The other reincarnated immortal's Dao title is Feng Yin and he's from Imperial Wind Temple. It's said that he was once in the top 10 of the perfected immortal ranking at the 9 firmament meet back then. When he reincarnated this time round, he was guided by an elder of Imperial Wind Temple and re-entered the sect. Even if there's no fight for the top 2 spots, what about the other 8 spots in the top 10? Are they all so strong? Princess Scarlet Rainbow said in a serious manner, Brother Qingqing, let me tell you. Although my cultivation realm hasn't changed after cultivating in the academy all these years, my combat strength has increased significantly. This is the ranking of the Earth ranking predicted by the palace. You guys can take a look. Xia Qingqing flipped his fair palm and hurled them a bamboo scroll. Junior sister Scarlet Rainbow, make a copy for me as well. Yi Fei was curious and asked for it as well. Princess Scarlet Rainbow said, don't worry, I'll print a copy for everyone. Let's take a look so that we can prepare in advance. As she said that, Princess Scarlet Rainbow placed the bamboo scroll on her glabella and made copies with her spirit consciousness. Before long, dozens of copies were printed and distributed to everyone in the academy. Brother Su, why don't you take a look too? Xia Qingqing said, this bamboo scroll was compiled by specialized cultivators in the palace. It contains many paragons of the Earth ranking this time round and many important information. It will be of some use to you guys. Su Zimo expressed his thanks and received the bamboo scroll. The bamboo scroll was made from 100 thin bamboo plates. There was only a Dao title written on the first bamboo plate, Feng Yin. When Su Zimo injected his spirit consciousness into the bamboo plate, an even larger image appeared in his mind with a few lines of words recorded. Name, Feng Yin. Level, Grade 9 Earth Immortal. Battle Record. Evaluation. Identity, Reincarnated Immortal of Imperial Wind Temple. Apart from his name and identity, the rest of the titles were blank without any information. Right then, Xia Qingqing's voice sounded. Tai Hua and Feng Yin have barely appeared in Divine Firmament Mainland after their reincarnations. They've been cultivating in seclusion the entire time. This is the first time the two of them have appeared at such a grand event. Therefore, there's not much information about the two of them. After Su Zimo's spirit consciousness entered the second bamboo plate, the information within was indeed similar to Feng Yin. Apart from his name and identity, everything else was empty. The order of the bamboo plates on the bamboo scroll was from left to right according to the order of 1 to 100. There was no useful information about Feng Yin and Tai Hua. Their mere identities as reincarnated immortals was enough to rank them as the top 2 of the Earth ranking. The terror of reincarnated immortals lay in their memories of their previous lives. Although their cultivation realms were insufficient and they had not recovered all their memories of their previous lives, it was already terrifying enough for them to only recover a portion of their memories. As they cultivated continuously and traced back the path of their previous lives, the number of memories they awakened would increase. Although both of them were grade 9 Earth immortals, they possessed the memories of perfected immortals and combat experience. Those were the most terrifying. Su Zimo continued browsing. The Earth immortal on the third bamboo plate was Yufeng, a grade 9 Earth immortal from Mountain Sea Immortal Sect. There were hundreds of words written in the column of his battle record, and the evaluation of him was extremely high as well. According to the compiler, if not for the two reincarnated immortals, Tai Hua and Feng Yin, Yufeng would most likely be the top of the Earth ranking this time round. The 4th to 10th places came from the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom, Flying Immortal Sect, Mountain Sea Immortal Sect, Yen Yang Immortal Kingdom, Imperial Wind Temple, Zi Xian Immortal Kingdom, and a paragon from the major immortal Dao clan, Pang clan. The 11th was Yi Fei of Heaven and Earth Academy, the number 1 of the outer sect competition. Yun Lei's ranking in the immortal sect selection was clearly inferior to mine. How can he be ranked in the top 10? Princess Scarlet Rainbow asked with a frown. Although Prince Yun Lei was from the Zi Xian Immortal Kingdom, he was representing Mountain Sea Immortal Sect this time round and was ranked 6th on this ranking. Xia Qingqing said, "Your movement technique is faster than his and you will have an advantage in the ranking of the 9 heavens. However, you might not be his match in the final ranking battle." Su Zimo swept his gaze and saw the name of Princess Scarlet Rainbow on the 18th bamboo plate. Name, Scarlet Rainbow. Level, Grade 9 Earth Immortal. Battle record, when she was a Grade 8 Earth Immortal, she crossed a minor realm and killed a Grade 9 Earth Immortal. When she was a Grade 9 Earth Immortal, she shocked everyone in the royal family competition of the Yen Yang Immortal Kingdom. However, she lost to Prince Xia Yun in the end. She was ranked 2nd in the immortal sect selection 1,000 years ago. Evaluation, among the Earth Immortals, the speed of her movement technique is enough to be ranked in the top 3. Among the 9 heavens, she can be ranked in the top 10. However, in a head-on fight, her combat strength is definitely inferior. Identity, Outer Sect Disciple of Heaven and Earth Academy, Princess of the Yen Yang Immortal Kingdom. The evaluation of the bamboo scroll was not much different from what Xia Qingqing had said. It seemed like they had spent a lot of effort to collect information of the paragons on the Earth ranking. However, Su Zimo did not know what the 9 heavens mentioned by Xia Qingqing and the Earth ranking were. Su Zimo was curious as to whether he was included in the Earth ranking and what ranking he was. He scanned the bamboo scroll and stopped in the middle. The 49th bamboo plate. Name, Su Zimo. Level, Grade 8 Earth Immortal. Battle record, in the immortal sect selection 1,000 years ago, he revealed his prowess and killed more than 100 Earth execution guards of the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom. He offended Prince Yuan Zhua and even alarmed 2 of the 4 great fairies, the Zither Immortal and the Painting Immortal, causing them to nearly fight. Eventually placed 1st in the immortal sect selection. Evaluation, expert in some terrifying flame immortal art and even mastered a movement technique similar to teleportation. His physique is strong but his bloodline is ordinary. He can kill strong foes above his level and cultivated the human-slaying sword art and exalted mystic spirit Big Dipper True Sutra. There's not much information about his previous achievements and it's difficult to judge from a single immortal sect selection. Furthermore, his cultivation realm is too low and he's the only Grade 8 Earth Immortal on the Earth ranking. This might become his weakness in the Earth ranking competition and he'll be ranked in the top 50 for the time being. Identity, Outer Sect Disciple of Heaven and Earth Academy, from the lower worlds. At that point, Su Zimo smiled. To think that the compiler had gathered quite a bit of information about him. However, back when he fled in the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom, almost no one paid attention to him and naturally did not know of his past achievements. Chapter 2191, 2191 Appearance of Yun Ting. 2191 Appearance of Yun Ting. Previously, Su Zimo caused a huge stir in Green Cloud County and was even hunted down by the entire Great Jin Immortal Kingdom. However, that was only limited to the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom. Most of the factions and cultivators of Divine Firmament Mainland had never heard of him, let alone paid attention to him. The Battle of the Immortals sex selection was his first time entering the line of sight of the upper echelons of Divine Firmament mainland. Actually, the Immortals sex selection was held once every 100 years. Even the number one of the selection might not attract much attention. However, there were way too many unforeseen circumstances during the Immortals sex selection 1,000 years ago. It caused quite a stir and even alarmed two fairies, allowing Su Zimo to stand out. Of course, for the supreme cultivators of Divine Firmament mainland, everyone was more concerned about the appearance of the zither and painting immortals and the rumors of the painting immortal. When everyone heard that Su Zimo was the number one of the Immortals sex selection and killed more than 100 Earth execution guards, they merely exclaimed and forgot about it quickly. After 1,000 years, the impact of this battle decreased. The fact that Su Zimo was ranked in the top 50 of this Earth ranking was already a subject of many controversies and doubt. Princess Scarlet Rainbow noticed the ranking as well and pouted her lips with a smile. Let's not talk about the rankings of the other cultivators first. Junior brother Su's ranking is definitely not accurate. Are you so sure? Xia Qingqing smiled and asked. Princess Scarlet Rainbow pointed to the two names on the bamboo scroll and said, Do Yuan, who is ranked 23, was knocked back by a single punch from junior brother Su. Shui Yuan, who is ranked 5-7, was crippled by a single palm strike from junior brother Su as well. I reckon that Shui Yuan might not be able to recover to his original state by the time the fight for the Earth ranking begins. Oh. Xia Qingqing was slightly surprised. So, Shui Yuan was injured by brother Su. He arrived slightly later and only saw everyone from the Shui clan escorting the injured Shui Yuan away. However, he did not know that Su Zimo was the one who caused it. In that case, brother Su's ranking should indeed be slightly higher. Xia Qingqing nodded. Princess Scarlet Rainbow said, In my opinion, junior brother Su's combat strength is definitely above mine. He should be ranked in the top 10 or even top 5. Xia Qingqing smiled without saying anything. Although he did not agree with it, he did not refute. Princess Scarlet Rainbow pointed to the fourth bamboo plate and said, Look at the identity of Tai Han, who is ranked 4th. He's only a commander of the Earth Execution Guards. Junior brother Su destroyed the Earth Execution Guards so badly back then. In my opinion, this great commander is nothing much too. Su Zimo noticed that person as well. Name, Tai Han. Level, Grade 9 Earth Immortal. Battle record, ever since he was a Grade 7 Earth Immortal, he was the top of the Earth Execution Guards and that position did not change for 50,000 years. Evaluation, this person's physique and bloodline are top-notch. It's said that his physique is comparable to a perfect grade dermic treasure. He rarely appears and doesn't attack often. He's the sharpest saber among the Earth Execution Guards and is the number one of the Earth Guards for 50,000 years. That's enough to prove how terrifying this person is. Identity, Great Commander of the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom's Earth Execution Guards. According to the bamboo scroll, this person was rather capable. This person's battle records were not detailed. However, the more that was the case, the more it proved how terrifying this person was. Nobody knew what other tricks he was hiding. After Princess Scarlet Rainbow said that, Xia Qingqing looked at Su Zimo and pondered for a moment before reminding, Brother Su, you can't be careless. Su Zimo nodded. Even without Xia Qingqing's reminder, he would have kept an eye on this person. He had killed more than 100 Earth Execution Guards before, but that did not mean that there were no top experts among them. Prince Yuanzhua had already lost his power. Although he could mobilize the Earth Execution Guards, given his status and power, the Earth Execution Guards at his side were definitely not the best. Although there were only 100 spots on the bamboo scroll, Earth Immortals from the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom took up 10 spots. They were all Earth Execution Guards. After reading it, Yi Fei smiled bitterly and shook his head. The fight for the Earth ranking this time round is indeed a little intense. It's much more difficult than I imagined. It's difficult to get into the top 10 of the Earth ranking. There's no need to feel dejected. Xia Qingqing said, although there are no Academy disciples in the top 10 of the Earth ranking, there are 17 Academy disciples in the 100 spots of the Earth ranking. That's a huge number. Elder Zhong and Elder He only felt relieved when they noticed that as well. At the very least, Heaven and Earth Academy was not disadvantaged overall. Xia Qingqing continued, furthermore, the ranking on the bamboo scroll is only a prediction. In the end, it still depends on the Earth ranking competition 3 days later. By now, everyone had already arrived at the palace. After the banquet, they dispersed and rested, preparing for the fight for the Earth ranking 3 days later. Actually, the 10,000-year meet had already begun and the capital was bustling. For the past 3 days, various major factions arrived at the capital of the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom one after another and appeared. Among them, the most eye-catching group was from the Zhixian Immortal Kingdom. The leader of the group this time round was the number 1 monster incarnate in 100,000 years, Prince Yunting. Ever since Prince Yunting swept through the Earth immortal experts of the major factions more than 1,000 years ago, he had barely appeared and had been cultivating in seclusion. After coming out of seclusion, Yunting was already at the level 2 Heaven Essence realm. Even with Yunting's talent and cultivation speed, his speed slowed down after breaking through to the Heaven Essence realm. In 1,000 years, he had only advanced by 1 realm. Of course, that was an unimaginable cultivation speed for others. For most cultivators, it was extremely common for them to spend 10,000 years cultivating in the Heaven Essence realm to break through. Prince Yunting is already a grade 2 Heaven Immortal. What is he doing at the 10,000-year meet? I'm not sure. That lad has a brash personality and is arrogant and conceited. He might be up to something shocking. You guys don't know yet, right? There's an Earth Immortal named Su Zimo in Heaven and Earth Academy who cultivated the heaven-slaying sword art. I reckon that Prince Yunting must be here because of this person. Some cultivators analyzed calmly. What is Prince Yunting trying to do? Is he trying to snatch the sword art in public? Heaven and Earth Academy has Heaven Immortal Elders with them as well. There's no way they would let him do that. Prince Yunting has never been restrained in his actions. I won't even be surprised if he attacked Su Zimo in public to snatch the sword art. Speaking of Su Zimo of Heaven and Earth Academy, I also recalled something. The Great Jin Immortal Kingdom group was led by Prince Yuanzhua this time round. I heard that he has a deep feud with Su Zimo. I heard that 1,000 years ago, this person even offended the Zither Immortal. Do you guys think the Zither Immortal will appear this time round? Dream on. What sort of characters are the 4 great fairies? All of them are peerless and are perfected immortals. Why would they come to watch the fight for the Earth ranking? I heard that the 4 great fairies might gather at the Divine Firmament Immortal Meet. That will be the true top-tier Immortal Dao event in the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain. As the 3 Immortal Kingdoms, for immortal sects, major Immortal Dao clans and factions of the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain gathered, the main event of the 10,000-year meet gradually began. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The Earth ranking competition officially began today. Chapter 2192, 2192 We Meet Again. 2192 We Meet Again. Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom. The sun had just risen and cultivators from all over Divine Firmament mainland had already arrived at the gigantic square in front of the palace. It was densely packed with people. A spacious path opened up in the middle of the square, extending all the way to the main hall. On both sides of the path were the areas where the major sects, factions, and cultivators gathered. In front of the hall was the host of this event, the location of the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom. On its left and right were the other 2 Immortal Kingdoms. Beneath the 2 Immortal Kingdoms were the 4 Immortal Sections. Heaven and Earth Academy and Mountain Sea Immortal Sect were next to one another. Opposite them were Imperial Wind Temple and Flying Immortal Sect. Beneath the 2 Immortal Kingdoms and 4 Immortal Sects were the major aristocratic families of the Immortal Dao and Quasi-Heaven Grade Immortal Sections. The ones at the front were all Heaven Grade and Quasi-Heaven Grade sections. Behind those immortal sects were Earth and Quasi-Earth grade sections. After that were Black grade sections. At the back were itinerant cultivators from all over the divine firmament immortal domain. There were no seats, immortal peaches, spirit fruits, fragrant tea, or desserts for them. They were naturally treated much worse than everyone else. At that moment, many cultivators of black, earth and quasi-heaven grade sects were already present, leaving only the 3 immortal kingdoms and 4 immortal sections. Look over there. People from the 3 immortal kingdoms have appeared at the same time. Someone shouted from the crowd, attracting the attention of many cultivators. In midair, 3 groups of cultivators descended slowly from outside the square. The master of the palace was in the middle and the group from the Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom was rather massive. Their leader was the second prince of the Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom, Prince Xia Ling, a perfected immortal expert in the person in charge of this 10,000-year meet. Behind him were some descendants of the royal family as well as Prince Xia Yun, who was predicted to be 7th on the Earth ranking. In the fight between the royal family back then, Xia Yun even defeated Princess Scarlet Rainbow. Prince Yunting is here. Where? The sharpest one. A clamor broke out in the crowd. Although Xia Ling was a perfected immortal and the person in charge of this 10,000-year meet, he did not attract much attention. When the 3 immortal kingdoms entered at the same time, most of the cultivators were attracted by the young man leading the Zhixian Immortal Kingdom and exclaimed, "This person was way too sharp." Some people felt their eyes sting just by staring at him for a little longer. There was no lack of paragons and monster incarnates in the camps of the 3 immortal kingdoms. For example, Prince Yuanzhua, who led the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom, the great commander of the Earth Execution Guards, Tai Han, who was predicted to be 4th on the Earth ranking, as well as Prince Yunlei, who was predicted to be 6th. Any one of them would attract attention. However, they were traveling with Yunting and none of them could overshadow his sharpness. No matter where it was, as long as Yunting appeared, his sharpness would be noticed unconsciously and no one could ignore it. "Fellow Daoist Yunting, I heard that you're here for Su Zimo of Heaven and Earth Academy?" Right then, Prince Yuanzhua turned around and asked in a testing manner, "Do you have any grudges with this person?" "We fought once." Yunting replied indifferently without looking at Prince Yuanzhua. Although Prince Yuanzhua was a grade 9 heaven immortal and had a superior cultivation realm, Yunting was not interested. When he saw how arrogant and rude Yunting was, a hint of anger first rose in Prince Yuanzhua's eyes before disappearing quickly. He began to rejoice internally. Su Zimo, to think that a lowlife like would offend Yunting as well. All the better, the heavens really want you dead. Prince Yuanzhua sneered internally and thought to himself, 1,000 years ago, you embarrassed me completely. This time round, I'm going to let you die without a full corpse in front of even more people. Initially, Prince Yuanzhua was not sure if Yunting was here because of Su Zimo. However, he was relieved when he saw Yunting's attitude earlier on. During this period of time, the cultivators of the 3 immortal kingdoms had already taken their seats. "Look, people from the 4 immortal sects have arrived as well." Another exclamation sounded as 4 groups of cultivators descended from midair side by side. Which of them are the reincarnated immortals? Who are Tai Hua and Feng Yin? The Earth ranking predicted by the Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom had long spread among many cultivators. The 2 reincarnated immortals attracted the most attention. See that? In Flying Immortal Sect, the person walking side by side with Heaven Immortal White Sea is Immortal Tai Hua. On the side of Imperial Wind Temple, the person standing at the front alongside Heaven Immortal Green Peak is Immortal Feng Yin. Immortal Tai Hua wore a Daoist robe and a long sword hung on his waist. His sleeves fluttered and he had an indifferent expression and extraordinary aura. Compared to the grade 9 Heaven Immortal White Sea, his aura was not inferior at all. Feng Yin had a cold expression and wore black robes. Hands behind his back, he exuded a cold and sinister aura that made one shudder. Although the 2 of them were only grade 9 Earth Immortals, the fact that they could walk shoulder to shoulder with 2 top-tier Heaven Immortals was proof of their status in the sect. The leader of Mountain Sea Immortal Sect seems to be the number 1 of the upper world's heaven ranking. It's indeed him, Heaven Abyss. He was one of the hosts of the Immortal Sect selection 1,000 years ago. Apart from the two reincarnated immortals, Heaven Abyss's appearance attracted many gazes as well. Compared to Flying Immortal Sect, Imperial Wind Temple and Mountain Sea Immortal Sect, Heaven and Earth Academy was slightly inferior. Heaven and Earth Academy was led by a few elders, and the disciples of the academy behind them seemed ordinary compared to the other three immortal sections. Su Zimo had green robes, black hair and refined features. He was inconspicuous in the academy's group and no one noticed him. His gaze swept in the direction of the three immortal sections. The leaders of the three immortal sects this time round were relatively familiar and he had met once. At the immortal sect selection, the three of them represented their respective sections. Everyone from the four immortal sects descended and were about to take their seats. Just as everyone's attention was attracted by the two reincarnated immortals, Heaven Abyss and the others, a figure suddenly stood up in the direction of the Zhixian Immortal Kingdom. Clang! As that person stood up, a shuddering sword hum sounded in the world. Immediately after, a sharp beam surged into the skies, as though it wanted to penetrate the firmaments and slash down the stars. The surrounding temperature seemed to have dipped significantly and it was chilling. The expressions of the two reincarnated immortals, Feng Yin and Tai Hua, changed slightly as they turned to look. Prince Yunting. Only Prince Yunting could release such a terrifying sharpness with every single move. When Yunting stood up, everyone's attention was attracted immediately. Many cultivators could sense that apart from sharpness, there was also an extremely strong fighting spirit in Yunting. What is Prince Yunting trying to do? Many cultivators followed Prince Yunting's gaze. It seemed to be the direction of Heaven and Earth Academy. Su Zimo, we meet again. Right then, Yunting's eyes lit up as he spoke slowly. Every single word was as powerful as metal clashing. Swoosh. 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 Instantly, the scholarly green-robed cultivator with no presence in the academy attracted countless gazes. Chapter 2193, 2193 Joining Forces. 2193 Joining Forces. Who is he? How did he attract Yunting's attention? A disciple of the academy, a grade 8 Earth Immortal, actually made Yunting stand up to greet him? Everyone had long heard of Yunting's personality. He was proud, conceited and arrogant. When they entered earlier on, even the perfected immortal Prince Xiaoling had a friendly expression as he surveyed his surroundings and nodded slightly. When Yunting appeared, he looked ahead the entire time without looking at anyone. His attitude towards Prince Yuanzuo was cold as well. But now, this academy disciple had caused Prince Yunting to stand up on his own accord. The fact that he was so highly regarded shocked many cultivators. Haven't you heard? That person is Su Zimo from the lower worlds and he has the heaven-slaying sword art. Prince Yunting is here for this person's heaven-slaying sword art. That's right. The fighting spirit in Prince Yunting's eyes can't be hidden at all. In fact, I suspect that he can attack at any moment. Many cultivators discussed and whispered at the back. Because of Yunting's actions in a single sentence, the entire square became tense. Everyone knew that Yunting did whatever he wanted and had always made shocking moves fearlessly. Even if he suddenly attacked Su Zimo, no one would be surprised. Prince Xiaoling frowned slightly. The fight for the Earth ranking had yet to begin and he naturally did not wish for anything to happen. Prince Yuanzuo sat in his seat with a gloating look in his eyes. If Yunting could kill Su Zimo, it would save him a lot of trouble. The elders of the academy looked as though they were facing a great enemy. Prince Yunting, what are you doing? Elder Zhong said in a deep voice, the fight for the Earth ranking has yet to begin. Furthermore, you're already a grade 2 Heaven Immortal and can't take part in the Earth ranking competition. Princess Scarlet Rainbow had not returned home for a long time. At that moment, she was sitting with Xia Qingsheng and the other descendants of the royal family. When she saw that, she looked nervous as well. Among everyone from the academy, Su Zimo was the only one who was calm as usual. Even against Yunting, who was releasing immense hostility and in front of everyone's gazes, his expression did not change much. He did not know why Yunting was here. However, he was certain that Yunting would definitely not attack him at this moment. He had only exchanged blows with Yunting once and the two of them did not have much interaction. However, he knew that given Yunting's pride, the latter would definitely not attack him when there was a major cultivation realm difference between them. Back in the emperor's tomb, Yunting was disgusted when Feng Xian tried to ambush Su Zimo while the two of them were fighting. Given his conceit, he would definitely choose to fight Su Zimo fairly if he wanted to snatch the heaven and earth slaying sword arts. Su Zimo pushed away the elders gently and stood at the front, standing off against Yunting through the air. Su Zimo, you. Elder Zhong was worried. There was no longer any obstruction between Su Zimo and Yunting. If Yunting suddenly attacked, even he did not have absolute confidence of protecting Su Zimo. It's fine. Su Zimo shook his head gently and smiled. We're just greeting one another and exchanging a few words. When he heard that, Yunting's eyes lit up. Su Zimo understood him. Everyone thought that he might make a move. However, the person opposite him knew that he would definitely not attack here. The two of them had the same silent chemistry back in the emperor's tomb when Feng Xian ambushed Su Zimo. For some reason, Yunting was delighted. Once I defeat him in the future and obtain the heaven and earth slaying sword arts, we might even be able to become confidants. Yunting thought to himself. In his eyes, not many cultivators of the same generation in this world were qualified to be his friends, let alone confidants. Yunting, it's been many years since we last met. You're still as arrogant as ever and haven't changed much. Right then, Su Zimo said indifferently. The moment he said that, everyone was stunned and the discussions quietened down. Many cultivators were dumbfounded as they looked at Su Zimo in shock. What sort of words and tone were those? Was this grade 8 Earth Immortal of the Academy lecturing the #1 monster incarnate in 100,000 years, Prince Yunting? Prince Yunting's expression darkened instantly as well. That was because Su Zimo's words reminded him of the battle at the Emperor's tomb. In that battle, Su Zimo once said something similar such as, "You're still young." Right on the heels of that person beat him up so badly that he nearly lost his life. After returning to the Zixian Immortal Kingdom, he was even taught a lesson by his sister. Each time he recalled that experience, he felt extremely displeased. Prince Yunting's expression turned cold and his aura intensified. His eyes shone with killing intent as he said icily, "Don't speak to me in that tone. I don't like it." In Yunting's heart, only his sister could lecture him like this. No one else was qualified. Right then, Prince Yuanzhua suddenly stood up and hollered, "Su Zimo, you're way too arrogant. How dare you lecture Prince Yunting? Prince Yunting is the strongest paragon in the divine firmament immortal domain for the past 100,000 years. How can a lowlife like you look down on and humiliate him in front of everyone?" Although Prince Yuanzhua looked righteous, he was actually fanning the flames, wanting to provoke Prince Yunting to kill Su Zimo right away. Yunting turned around and glanced at Prince Yuanzhua expressionlessly. He was young and arrogant, but he was no fool. The person in charge of the 10,000-year meet this time round, Prince Xiaoling, saw that the situation was bad and the atmosphere was getting increasingly tense. At that moment, he had no choice but to stand out and raise his voice. "Fellow Taoists, please take a seat. Today is the Earth ranking competition. If there are any grudges, we can discuss them after the Earth ranking competition." Sure. Unexpectedly, the fighting spirit and killing intent of Prince Yunting dissipated rapidly. He agreed right away and sat back down. Helpless, Prince Yuanzhua could only return to his seat. After this small commotion, the cultivators of the 4 immortal sects took their seats one after another. The fight for the Earth ranking was about to begin. Prince Yuanzhua looked at Prince Yunting opposite him indignantly. Rolling his eyes, he sent a voice transmission with his spirit consciousness. "Fellow Taoist Yunting, today is the Earth ranking competition. It's not convenient for you to kill Su Zimo personally. Why don't the Zhixian Immortal Kingdom join forces with the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom to kill this lad in the 9 heavens? Yunting raised his head and looked at Prince Yuanzhua with a fake smile, as though he was very interested in his suggestion. Prince Yuanzhua was invigorated and continued to send a voice transmission. Fellow Daoist, don't worry. This time round, it's not only the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom, but also fellow Taoists of Flying Immortal Sect. If the Zhixian Immortal Kingdom can join in, that lad will definitely die if our 3 factions join forces. The smile in Prince Yunting's eyes intensified. Ha 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 ha. Finally, Yunting reared his head in laughter that shook the firmaments and attracted the attention of countless people. Everyone was puzzled. Even Prince Yuanzhua was stunned on the spot, not knowing what was wrong with Yunting. Yunting turned around slowly and looked at Heaven and Earth Academy not far away from him, saying leisurely, Su Zimo, Prince Yuanzhua just told me that the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom has already joined forces with Flying Immortal Sect. Their people are going to kill you in the 9 heavens. Right, Prince Yuanzhua even invited me to join forces with them. The moment he said that, the crowd was in an uproar. Everyone from the academy was shocked as well as they glared in the direction of the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect. Prince Yuanzhua was caught off guard. He had not expected that his secret voice transmission would be revealed by Prince Yunting in public. Chapter 2194, 2194 Challenge. 2194 Challenge. This matter was indeed a secret alliance between the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect, prepared for their Earth Immortals to join forces to kill Su Zimo in this Earth ranking competition. It was not easy to get such a massive faction to join forces. However, Prince Yuanzhua of the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom and Zither Immortal Meng Yao of Flying Immortal Sect stepped in. Furthermore, both of them were royalty of the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom. Prince Yuanzhua hated Su Zimo to the core. The matter of the Immortal Sect selection embarrassed him and the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom even more. That was because at the Immortal Sect selection, Su Zimo said that Zither Immortal Meng Yao and Prince Yuanzhua had a royal scandal. Because of that, Fairy Meng Yao wanted to kill Su Zimo as well. Under the lead of the two of them, the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect had already discussed a plan and ensured that nothing would go wrong. However, no matter what, such a thing was not honorable. Now, Prince Yuanzhua wanted to rope Yunting in. Instead, Yunting made the matter public and caused Prince Yuanzhua to make a fool of himself, resulting in a commotion. Heaven Immortal White Sea of Flying Immortal Sect glared at Prince Yuanzhua and cursed him internally for being a fool. Even without the Zhixian Immortal Kingdom, the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect's plan this time round was enough to kill Su Zimo in the 9 heavens. There was no need for that. In the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom this time round, there were a total of 10 execution guards led by Tai Han, who was predicted to be ranked 4th on the Earth ranking. On the side of Flying Immortal Sect, there were a total of 12 disciples led by the reincarnated immortal, Tai Hua. All of them were on the predicted Earth ranking. Actually, even if it was Tai Han or Tai Hua, any one of them could get rid of Su Zimo. However, they heard that Su Zimo's movement technique was extremely fast. That was the reason why they mobilized such a large force to set up this joint killing plan. Su Zimo would not be able to escape if all of them joined forces. But now that Yunting revealed their plan in public, all their preparations would be wasted if Su Zimo gave up on the fight for the Earth ranking. Interesting. Heaven Immortal Green Peak of Imperial Wind Temple smiled gently and crossed his arms to watch the show. What's the meaning of this? The Great Jin Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect are joining forces to deal with a single Grade 8 Earth Immortal? To be honest, this is a little embarrassing. That's right. They're actually using the Earth ranking competition as an opportunity to take revenge for their personal grudges? Many cultivators in the square discussed in private. Heaven Immortal White Sea closed his folding fan and retracted his smile. He cursed internally and glared at Prince Yuanzhua. When Prince Yuanzhua heard the discussions around him and felt the searing gazes, he could not take it either. Shocked and furious, he glared at Yunting and growled, "What are you doing? Don't you have a feud with Su Zimo? Don't you want his heaven-slaying sword art? I'll settle my own matters." Yunting said indifferently and took a sip of tea unhurriedly. He glanced at Prince Yuanzhua and sneered, "You really think someone like you is worthy of joining forces with me? You!" Prince Yuanzhua was enraged and slammed the table, standing up. Although there was a difference of 7 cultivation realms between them, Yunting did not give Prince Yuanzhua any face in front of everyone. Prince Yuanzhua felt his face burn and was enraged. However, he could not attack Yunting under such circumstances. Given Yunting's status, countless experts would definitely stop him if he attacked. There was no way Prince Xiaoling would let anything happen to Yunting in the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom. When he saw that, Su Zimo shook his head and chuckled. Prince Yuanzhua actually wanted to join forces with Yunting. Given Yunting's pride, Prince Yuanzhua was asking to be humiliated by doing that. Furthermore, Prince Yuanzhua wanted to make use of Yunting to kill with a borrowed knife earlier on. This time round, Yunting's rejection caused his reputation to suffer immensely. "Your Highness Yuanzhua, fellow Daoist White Sea, what's the meaning of this?" Elder Zhong had a grim expression as he stood up and said in a deep voice, "Everyone will have to rely on their own capabilities for the Earth ranking competition. Yet, the two of you still want to join forces in secret to deal with a disciple of my academy?" Since this matter had already been exposed, Heaven Immortal White Sea no longer hid it. He spread his folding fan and said with a smile, "In the 9 heavens, life and death battles are allowed and there's no rule that forbids joining forces. Su Zimo of your academy offended the Great Gene Immortal and the Zither Immortal. He incurred the wrath of the heavens and the hatred of humans. He deserved to be targeted by us." The Earth ranking competition was divided into the elimination round and the final ranking battle. The 9 heavens was said to be a shattered space in the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom and was also the battlefield of the elimination round. There were many cultivators participating in the Earth ranking and they came from all over the world. Naturally, they had to go through the elimination round to select the strongest 100 Earth Immortal Paragons the fastest. There were a total of 9 levels of space in the 9 heavens. Every single space contained a different power and there were all sorts of powerful living beings and natural calamities. At the end of each level, there would be a teleportation formation that could teleport one to the next level. The rules of the elimination round were relatively simple as well. Cultivators could not make use of any dermic treasures or talismans. Instead, they had to rely on their own strength to clear the levels continuously and ascend through the tests in the 9 heavens. In the space of level 5, there was a gigantic stele where cultivators could leave their names on it. The 100 cultivators who entered level 5 first and left their names on it were qualified to enter the final ranking battle. In the 9 heavens, cultivators could naturally kill one another at will regardless of life and death. The original intention of establishing this rule was simple. There were only 100 spots on the Earth ranking. If one was afraid of death, they were naturally not qualified to be ranked on the Earth ranking. But now, the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortals sect were making use of this rule to prepare to join forces to kill Su Zimo in the 9 heavens. This rule had been passed down for a long time and would naturally not be amended at the last minute just because of a single change. The elders of Heaven and Earth Academy exchanged glances and communicated with their spirit consciousnesses, discussing countermeasures in secret. Since they already knew the other party's plan, Heaven and Earth Academy was prepared. This time round, they had 20 people who were entering the 9 heavens as well. It was not impossible for them to fight by joining forces. However, there was Tai Han in the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom this time round and there was even a reincarnated immortal in Flying Immortal sect. Even if both parties fought in the 9 heavens, Heaven and Earth Academy had no chance of winning. If they were completely annihilated, they would lose their rights to be ranked on the Earth ranking. The safest way to deal with this matter was for Su Zimo to withdraw from this generation's fight for the Earth ranking. The elders discussed for a while and were about to ask Su Zimo. On the other side, Yunting suddenly asked coldly, Su Zimo, since you know about this plan, do you still dare to take part in the fight for the Earth ranking? Why not? Su Zimo smiled calmly. The Academy elders were alarmed. However, Yunting's eyes lit up as he asked again, you dare to take part despite knowing that the other party is joining forces to deal with you and the existence of a reincarnated immortal? Reincarnated immortals are indeed very powerful. Su Zimo smiled and said, however, he's only an earth immortal. In the 9 heavens, life and death battles are allowed. It's too early to determine who will be the one coming out alive. The moment he said that, a commotion broke out. It's no wonder why Su Zimo was targeted. He's indeed a little arrogant. That's right, it's time to teach this ignorant fool a lesson. I heard that he's from the lower worlds and doesn't have much knowledge. He's just a frog in the well. Many cultivators looked disdainful when they heard Su Zimo's words. All right. Yunting was the only one who shouted. It reverberated through the world like thunder and suppressed all the mockery and doubts. Su Zimo, you did not disappoint me indeed. Yunting stood up slowly and shouted, the reason why I'm here this time round is because I want to issue you a challenge personally. Chapter 2195, 2195 Not worthy of carrying his shoes. 2195 Not worthy of carrying his shoes. Yunting came personally for one thing, to issue a challenge to this grade 8 Earth Immortal of the Academy. In the eyes of everyone, not only was there a huge difference in reputation and background, there was also a world of difference in strength. Why did Prince Yunting think so highly of Su Zimo? Prince Yunting's words suppressed all the doubts and mockery present instantly. I'll accept your challenge. Su Zimo nodded fearlessly. Even if Prince Yunting did not come, he knew that there would be another battle between the two of them sooner or later. All right. Yunting was in high spirits as he shouted, if you can obtain the number 1 of the Earth ranking, I'll wait for you at the top of the heaven ranking in the Divine Firmament Immortal Meet. Many cultivators were shocked and they heard that. Even perfected Immortal Xia Ling frowned slightly and shook his head. The Divine Firmament Immortal Meet was about to begin in less than 10,000 years. Right now, Yunting was only a grade 2 heaven immortal. How many levels could he advance in less than 10,000 years? At that time, could he fight against the other monster incarnates of the heaven ranking? At the heaven essence realm, even if one had sufficient cultivation resources, they might not be able to advance a single realm in 10,000 years. Furthermore, Su Zimo's current cultivation was even lower and he was only a grade 8 Earth Immortal. In less than 10,000 years, he would be considered extremely talented if he could advance to become a Heaven Immortal, let alone fight for the top of the Heaven ranking. Yunting's challenge sounded ridiculous. Furthermore, the top 2 of the Earth ranking this time round were almost certain. How could Su Zimo of the Academy defeat reincarnated immortals? If he were to enter the 9 heavens, he might not even survive. Pausing for a moment, Yunting continued, of course, if you can't even obtain the top of the Earth ranking, you're not qualified to fight me again. I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed. Prince Yuanzhua harumphed coldly and said, with the 2 reincarnated immortals, Feng Yin and Tai Hua, holding down this time round, Su Zimo is definitely dreaming if he thinks that he can become the top of the Earth ranking. Oh. Yunting raised his brow and looked askance at the 2 reincarnated immortals, Feng Yin and Tai Hua, saying, the fact that they're reincarnated means that they failed in their previous lives. What's so great about them? Yunting's words were equivalent to disregarding the 2 reincarnated immortals, Feng Yin and Tai Hua. His every move and action was extremely sharp. Humph. With a sullen expression, Tai Hua said coldly, how dare an ignorant junior behave so brazenly in front of me? Didn't your elders teach you while you were growing up? In Tai Hua's heart, even though he was reborn, he was still a perfected immortal in his previous life. Feng Yin was expressionless as he said indifferently, Junior, it won't be too late for you to come back and be arrogant on the day you cultivate to the perfected immortal realm. Haha. Yunting burst into laughter and was not interested in arguing with the two of them. He turned to look at everyone in the square and asked, "You guys had the cheek to mock him earlier on?" The person Yunting was referring to was naturally Su Zimo. Yunting picked up a jar of strong wine casually and drank it in one gulp in a wild manner. He extended his finger and swiped across the square, pointing at all the paragons, monster incarnates and even Tai Hua and Feng Yin as he laughed. "All of you are not even worthy of standing out to carry his shoes." Everyone in the square was shocked and furious. Piak! Tai Hua slapped the table and hollered coldly, "How dare you!" Even though he had long known that Yunting was arrogant and conceited, Prince Xiaoling, the host, felt a headache coming on at the moment. The expressions of the elders changed as they exchanged worried glances. To the elders, Yunting's words were equivalent to pushing Su Zimo into the center of the storm. It was no different from roasting him on a rack. Was he trying to force Su Zimo into a corner? Against the two major factions, the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect, Su Zimo's situation was extremely dangerous to begin with and was not optimistic. Now that Yunting said that, it was equivalent to establishing more opponents for Su Zimo. In truth, the Academy elders had indeed misunderstood this matter. In Yunting's heart, among everyone present, Su Zimo was the only one worthy of being his opponent. Earlier on, when he saw Su Zimo being mocked, he felt indignant as well. That was the reason why he said that. "Prince Yunting, why are you targeting Su Zimo of our academy time and again? Is it just because of the heaven-slaying sword art?" Elder he could not help but stand and asked with a frown, "Furthermore, the difference in cultivation between the two of you is great and you're famous. Is there even any doubt about the outcome of your battle? The heaven-slaying sword art is naturally one of the reasons." Yunting said and paused for a moment before continuing slowly, "More importantly, we fought once when we were both black immortals. However, due to the environment, there were many methods that I could not use and I did not fight to my heart's content. I hope that the next time we fight, I can do my best and use everything I've learned in my life to fight to my fill." Yunting suffered a crushing defeat in the Battle of the Emperor's Tomb. Given his pride, it was already rare for him to take the initiative to mention this today. Of course, he would definitely not admit that he was defeated. He had many methods that he did not manage to release and was naturally indignant. That was the reason why he challenged Su Zimo once more with a fighting spirit. Yunting had not expected that although he did not say the outcome of this battle, the news was enough to shock everyone. Su Zimo fought Yunting and survived. Didn't you hear? There were restrictions back then and Yunting could not unleash his full combat strength. It was no wonder why Yunting would target Su Zimo so badly. The two of them had a conflict in the past and have a deep feud. The square was in an uproar once more. At the seats of the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom, Xia Qingqing seemed to have thought of something. Just as he raised his teacup, his wrist trembled slightly and he spilled a lot of tea. "Brother, what's wrong?" At the side, Princess Scarlet Rainbow noticed Xia Qingqing's abnormality and whispered. Xia Qingqing took a deep breath and whispered, "Scarlet Rainbow, it's only now that I'm truly certain that you're not wrong. Su Zimo's combat strength should be able to rank him in the top 5 of the Earth ranking." Huh? For a moment, Princess Scarlet Rainbow could not figure it out and was at a loss. Xia Qingqing said, "Did you hear that earlier on? Yunting fought against Su Zimo before. Do you know the outcome?" "I don't know." Yunting didn't say anything. "I guess only the two of them know." Scarlet Rainbow shook her head. "Make a guess." Xia Qingqing smiled and asked. "Yunting was the one who won, I guess." Princess Scarlet Rainbow probed. Xia Qingqing shook his head and said, "If Yunting won, there wouldn't be a need for him to come and issue this challenge to Su Zimo and say those words." "That's right, true." Princess Scarlet Rainbow gradually understood and nodded repeatedly. If junior brother Su was defeated by him, given Yunting's pride, why would he have to fight another battle with a defeated opponent? In that case, the two of them must have fought to a draw. Princess Scarlet Rainbow was excited. The fact that Su Zimo was able to tie with the number one monster incarnate in 100,000 years was something to be excited about. However, Xia Qingqing shook his head and asked, if it's a draw, why didn't Yunting say that? Brother, you mean to say? Princess Scarlet Rainbow was shocked. Xia Qingqing nodded slightly and said, Yunting was most likely defeated in that battle. That's why he came personally to challenge Su Zimo. Chapter 2196, 2196 Elimination Round begins. 2196 Elimination Round begins. When he heard Yunting mention the battle at the Emperor's tomb, Su Zimo smiled and did not reply. Perhaps it was because Yunting was too young. In Su Zimo's eyes, Yunting was more like a brash, fearless and proud junior. Although both parties had a huge battle in the past, Su Zimo admired Yunting. From Yunting, it was as though he could see some semblance of Baiming Shui and Carefree, his two disciples. Su Zimo won that battle. However, he had never thought of bragging about it to prove himself. It was the same today. Yunting did not say the outcome of that battle explicitly. Su Zimo did not want to hurt Yunting's pride and did not mention it directly either, as though he had already forgotten about that battle. Zimo, we discussed it in private earlier on. Elder Zhong said in a low voice, our suggestion is that you don't take the risk to participate in the Earth ranking competition. Elder He nodded as well. That's right. Zimo, the other party has planned this long ago and is prepared. There's no need for you to fight them. The Earth ranking competition happens once every 10,000 years. Given your talent, you'll definitely be able to break through to become a grade 9 Earth Immortal before the next 10,000-year meet. As long as you wait patiently for 10,000 years, the next 10,000-year meet will be held in our Heaven and Earth Academy. No matter what methods the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect have, it's useless. At that time, you'll definitely be able to compete in a fair environment. Who can be your match? The two elders of the academy spoke one after another, analyzing the pros and cons for Su Zimo and speaking earnestly. It was indeed to protect him. As the two of them had said, if Su Zimo gave up on participating in the Earth ranking competition this time round, the plans of the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect would definitely come to nothing. However, this disrupted Su Zimo's cultivation plan. If he were to take part in the next Earth ranking competition, he would have to wait another 10,000 years. Su Zimo did not want to wait. Ever since he ascended, he could sense the pressure of time, ubiquitousness, and omnipresent. Even after joining Heaven and Earth Academy, the pressure did not decrease at all. 10,000 years later, the Divine Firmament Immortal Meet and even the 9 Firmament Meet would be held. Furthermore, he had to stay in Heaven and Earth Academy to fight for the ranking with many Earth Immortals. If he fell behind a single step, he would continue falling behind. The difference between him and Yunting and even the Martial Dao Prime Body would only increase. He had to take part in the fight for the Earth ranking this time round and did not want to drag on for another 10,000 years. Elders, thank you for your kind intentions. Su Zimo bowed and expressed his thanks. However, I've made up my mind. The two elders of the academy exchanged glances and sighed internally. Both of them could tell that Su Zimo's tone was resolute and he probably could not be persuaded further. Right then, Princess Scarlet Rainbow walked over from the Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom side as well, prepared to enter the 9 heavens with the disciples of the academy. Junior brother Su, don't worry. If the disciples of our academy join forces and enter the 9 heavens together, we can just fight them. Princess Scarlet Rainbow said proudly, even if we lose, we won't let them have a good time either. Elder Zhong began to send voice transmissions with his spirit consciousness as well. Yi Fei, Scarlet Rainbow, Su Zimo. After you guys enter the 9 heavens, try your best to travel together. There's no need for that. Right then, Su Zimo interrupted, fellow sect mates, you don't have to travel with me. Naturally, the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect won't look for you guys either. The ranking of the elimination round is also extremely important. Everyone, don't waste this opportunity to compete for the Earth ranking because of me. Everyone from the academy looked at one another in silence. Although no one said it explicitly, everyone hoped that they could pass the elimination round and carry out the final ranking battle to leave their names on the Earth ranking. If they traveled with Su Zimo, the academy would most likely be annihilated. However, if they abandoned Su Zimo, how was he going to face the combined attack of the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect alone? Everyone, see you in the ranking battle of the Earth ranking. Su Zimo smiled gently with a calm gaze. When they met with Su Zimo's gaze, for some unknown reason, everyone from the academy gradually calmed down and felt confident. Alright, see you in the Earth ranking battle. Yi Fei, Princess Scarlet Rainbow and the others replied in unison. Fellow Taoists, please calm down. The elimination round of the Earth ranking is about to begin. Right then, Prince Xiaoling stood up and declared, let me repeat the rules of the elimination round. First, Earth immortals who enter the 9 heavens must not be older than 50,000 years old. Earth immortals had a lifespan of 200,000 years. If they were more than 50,000 years old, they would not be considered paragons. Second, those who left their names on the Earth ranking are not allowed to take part again. For example, none of the 100 people from the previous Earth ranking were qualified to take part in this Earth ranking competition. Third, cultivators who enter the 9 heavens are not allowed to use dermic treasures or talismans no matter what happens. Otherwise, they will definitely be killed by the rules of the 9 heavens. Everyone, remember this. The elimination mechanism of the 9 heavens was actually a deliberate test of a cultivator's strength without relying on external objects. In the 9 heavens, one could use divine powers, secret skills, immortal dermic arts, essence spirit secret skills, physique and bloodline. Fourth, there are various opportunities hidden in every single level of the 9 heavens. They might be dermic treasures, cultivation techniques or secret skills. If any of you discover them, you can keep them. Over the years, many Earth immortals had died in the 9 heavens as well. The storage bags left behind by the Earth immortals alone were an unimaginable treasure vault. Of course, such treasures were not too attractive to Tai Hua, Feng Yin and other top experts. They would definitely waste a lot of time in between if they wanted to hunt for treasures. The ranking of the elimination round was based on who ascended to level 5 first and left their names on the stele. If they wasted time before this, their rankings would fall behind others as well. Fifth and most importantly, life and death battles are allowed in the 9 heavens. No matter what you face inside, regardless of calamities or natural disasters, outsiders won't be able to interfere. Only you can only save yourself. Let me advise everyone. If you're not prepared to die, there's no need for you to enter. At that point, Xiaoling glanced at Su Zimo in a seemingly casual manner. Those words were actually a reminder to Su Zimo to give him a final chance to back off. Su Zimo smiled, shaking his head. Xiaoling continued, if anything goes wrong, it's best for you to retreat to a safe corner and wait for the elimination round to end quietly. Sixth, if 100 people leave their names on the stele of level 5, the elimination round will end automatically. At that moment, Earth immortals from the 3 immortal kingdoms, 4 immortal sects, major immortal Dao clans, Earth and Black grade sects that were prepared to enter the 9 heavens had already stood up. Many cultivators had different expressions. Some were looking forward to it, some were nervous, some were excited, some were agitated and some were uneasy. Xiaoling drew mysterious runes in midair with both hands and hollered softly, 9 heavens, open. The moment he said that, a gigantic crack appeared in midair above the square, emitting a searing heat wave. Let the elimination round of the Earth ranking officially begin. Xiaoling declared. Chapter 2197, 2197 World of Flames. 2197 World of Flames. The moment Xiaoling said that, many Earth immortals could not wait any longer and charged towards the crack in midair. Figures soared into the air one after another, wanting to enter the 9 heavens as soon as possible. Everyone from the academy took a deep breath and moved one after another. Before long, they entered the crack and disappeared. Prince Yuanzhou watched Su Zimo enter the 9 heavens before heaving a sigh of relief. Although there were some mistakes in the process, it did not affect our plans. Prince Yuanzhou secretly sent a voice transmission to Heaven Immortal White Sea's spirit consciousness. Heaven Immortal White Sea waved his folding fan and sent a voice transmission. This matter was almost spoiled by Yunting. Thankfully, Su Zimo was arrogant and conceited and did not give up on the Earth ranking. Just as Prince Yuanzhou and Heaven Immortal White Sea were communicating with their spirit consciousnesses, the two of them suddenly felt a chill and their hairs stood on end. Opposite the two of them, Yunting drank his wine and looked at them with a fake smile, his gaze sharp as a sword. If you have anything to say, why don't you say it in public? Why are you muttering in secret? Yunting smiled. Your dirty affairs are no longer a secret anyway. Prince Yuanzhou and Heaven Immortal White Sea were expressionless and did not get angry. However, the two of them were secretly alarmed. Yunting was only a grade 2 Heaven Immortal, but his senses were way too sharp. When the two of them communicated through voice transmission earlier on, their spirit consciousnesses merely circulated between them and the radius was extremely small. Even so, Yunting, who was sitting opposite them, sensed it despite the distance between them. In that short period of time, most of the Earth Immortals who wanted to contend for the Earth ranking had already entered the 9 heavens. Of course, there were also some Earth Immortals in the square who did not move because they wanted to back off at the last minute. Upon entering the 9 heavens, life and death was irreversible. It was said that in the past elimination rounds of the 9 heavens, close to a fifth of the Earth Immortals died. This time round, there were close to 1 million Earth Immortals who entered the 9 heavens. A fifth meant that 200,000 Earth Immortals would not be able to come out alive. The mortality rate was extremely high. Although opportunities and fame were important, for some people, there was only hope if they survived. Furthermore, for most Earth Immortals, there was no chance for them to fight for the Earth ranking. There were 1 million people but only 100 spots on the Earth ranking. The competition was way too intense. A moment later, when Xia Ling saw that no one else was heading to the 9 heavens in the square, he drew a few runes in midair. The gigantic crack closed slowly and returned to normal, as though it had never appeared. Immediately after, Xia Ling released another stream of true essence power above the square. A gigantic mirror appeared in midair and enveloped the square like a transparent firmament. The gigantic mirror reflected everything in the 9 heavens clearly. Although everyone in the square had not entered the 9 heavens, they could see the situation inside clearly. In the upper world, there were many methods to reflect another world and they were extremely ordinary. The elders of the academy looked at the mirror in the firmaments and focused their attention on Su Zimo and the other 19 disciples. They prayed in their hearts that everything would go smoothly and nothing would happen. Your Highness, do you think Mr. Su will be able to tide through this crisis? On the side of the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom, a young man dressed as a servant asked softly beside Xia Qingcheng as he served tea. It was Su Shaotian who had just been taken in by Xia Qingcheng. Under normal circumstances, he was not qualified to participate in such an event. However, Xia Qingcheng knew that Su Shaotian cared about and respected Su Zimo. As such, he sent Su Shaotian into the group of servants to serve him while watching this rare immortal cultivation event. Xia Qingcheng shook his head gently. I don't know either. Brother Su's methods are definitely not weak. However, his opponents are truly strong. More importantly, no one knows when or where the other party will attack. Su Shaotian was enlightened and said, in other words, after Mr. Su enters the 9 heavens, not only will he have to be careful of the dangers of the 9 heavens, he will also have to be on guard against the attacks of the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect. That's right. Xia Qingcheng stared at the mirror in the firmaments above him and murmured, where will they attack? 9 heavens. After Su Zimo entered the crack, he felt a heat wave surge towards him. After a moment of dizziness, his 5 senses were restored. Standing in midair, Su Zimo surveyed his surroundings. This was a world of flames. Everywhere he looked, raging flames burned and surged into the skies. The temperature of the world was extremely high and heat waves surged. The air was dry and suffocating. Su Zimo could see more than 10 earth immortals descending in a scattered manner. Although he entered the 9 heavens at the same time as everyone from the academy, he was separated by the spatial power of the 9 heavens and the outside world, and they were dispersed. It was the same for the other cultivators. No matter how many people entered at the same time, they would be separated and landed at the outer perimeter of level 1. The teleportation formation to level 2 was in the middle of the space. All the cultivators had to pass through the flaming world as soon as possible and arrive at the center. They had to activate the teleportation formation and ascend to level 2. All of a sudden, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat as he looked up at the firmaments above him. A spirit light descended from the skies and floated in front of him. It looked like a rectangular badge. Su Zimo received it and his spirit consciousness moved, leaving a spirit consciousness imprint on it. Immediately after, the badge shone with a light and a number appeared. 897,593. Prior to this, Princess Scarlet Rainbow had told him that this was a tracking secret skill of the 9 heavens. By leaving a spirit consciousness imprint, it could lock onto everyone's approximate location and determine the order of ranking towards the end of level 5. The closer one was to the end point of level 5, the higher their ranking. Right now, the number Su Zimo could see was more than 890,000. This meant that there were close to 900,000 Earth immortals who were closer to the end point than him. The final ranking of the 9 heavens elimination round was a competition of who arrived first and left their names on the stele. Therefore, the badge that could display the ranking was extremely important as well. One could determine their position at any moment and make the corresponding decision. For example, some cultivators might make it to level 4 after much difficulty. If they realized that there were more than 200,000 people ahead of them at that point, they could choose to give up. Su Zimo placed the badge in his storage bag and looked at the few cultivators in the distance. The cultivators advanced towards the center of the space and were drenched in sweat before long. Unable to withstand it, they released their immortal arts to defend against the surrounding scorching flames. So, this place is so difficult to endure? When Su Zimo ascended, he merely felt that the temperature was slightly higher and did not sense anything unusual. The flames of this space could easily burn black immortals to ashes. Even high-level Earth immortals would find it difficult to defend against such an environment without the protection of dermic treasures and talismans. However, Su Zimo had a grade 10 green lotus true body, and his body was not inferior to a connate Earth grade dermic treasure. He felt almost nothing when he ascended here. Chapter 2198, 2198 He's cheating. 2198 He's cheating. In front of the palace square. As expected of a reincarnated immortal. Feng Yin is way too fast and is at the front. What's that? Everywhere Feng Yin passes, wild winds howl and extinguish the surrounding flames. The crowd exclaimed. Although the wind aided the flames, Feng Yin's methods prevented the flames from getting close. Look over there. Immortal Tai Hua isn't weak either and is currently ranked 2nd. Immortal Tai Hua conjured an immortal art and pointed to the skies. A pitch-black dark cloud appeared above his head and a heavy rain poured down. He sped towards the center of level 1. The dark clouds hovered above his head the entire time and the heavy rain poured continuously. Before the surrounding flames could get close, they were extinguished by the heavy rain. Heavens, the divine power, rain summoning, can actually be controlled so precisely. How amazing! Not only that, even if we use rain summoning, we might not be able to extinguish the flames within. As they spoke, other cultivators released their divine powers and called for rain. However, before the dark clouds in the skies could gather, they were swept away by the flames and dissipated. That scene caused everyone in the square to burst into laughter. The two reincarnated immortals had already impressed the various factions and cultivators in the square with just a few methods. Right now, the third was Tai Han of the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom. Ranked fourth was Yu Feng of Mountain Sea Immortal Sect. Seems like the prediction of the Earth ranking of the Yen Yang Immortal Kingdom is quite accurate. The moment they entered the 9 heavens, these few people are far in the lead. That person's ranking is rising so quickly. Right then, the crowd exclaimed. Everyone looked over and saw a scarlet glow streaking through the sea of flames. The glow was so fast that its body burned with thin flames, as though it had fused with the surrounding world of flames. It's Princess Scarlet Rainbow, representing Heaven and Earth Academy to fight for the Earth ranking. Princess Scarlet Rainbow cultivated the top cultivation technique of the Yen Yang Immortal Kingdom, the Great Sun Sutra, to begin with, and controlled the power of flames. Now, she's making use of the power of the world of flames to raise her speed to another level. I reckon that Princess Scarlet Rainbow has a chance of entering the top 3 of level 1. That's only temporary. There are 4 levels ahead. Many cultivators discussed as they watched the elimination round. It was noisy and lively. On the side of the Zhixian Immortal Kingdom, Yun Ting remained silent. As he drank his strong wine, he glared at a figure in the mirror in the firmaments with a playful expression. This test should be very boring for you, right? Yun Ting muttered to himself. The most important reason why he came this time round was naturally to challenge Su Zimo personally. Apart from that, there was another motive. Ever since his sister returned from the Immortal Sect selection 1,000 years ago, she had a very high evaluation of Su Zimo. She even praised him often and said that he had many trump cards and did not use his full strength. Yun Ting knew that his sister was trying to motivate him not to slack off. However, he was still extremely indignant. Therefore, he wanted to see how many more tricks Su Zimo had up his sleeves this time round. Although Yun Ting appeared arrogant and conceited, he would use his full strength in every battle and did not dare to be careless, let alone underestimate his opponent. He was watching Su Zimo this time round so that he could understand his opponent better. Look, someone's dead over there. Suddenly, a cry sounded from the crowd. On level 1 of the 9 heavens, the immortal art released by an earth immortal shattered. Before a second divine power could be added, the flames burned his body and he died on the spot. This person doesn't know his place at all. How far has he gone? He's still far from the teleportation formation at the center of level 1. That's right. These people have yet to encounter the true threat of level 1. Heavenly fires might descend in the world of flames, phenomenons might appear and terrifying living beings condensed from flames might appear. That's the true test. A cultivator who had participated in the 9 heavens before said with a heavy tone. In that short period of time, more than one earth immortal had died. Furthermore, some earth immortals had already begun to retreat and did not advance. By the way, how's that grade 8 earth immortal of the academy? His name is Su Zimo, right? That's him. His cultivation realm is the lowest and it won't be long before his essence chi is depleted after he defends against the terrifying flames. That can't be. I saw that he was ranked 49 on the Earth ranking prediction. Many cultivators were curious when someone in the crowd mentioned Su Zimo. Initially, Su Zimo did not enter everyone's line of sight nor did he attract much attention. The reason why everyone paid attention to him was because Yun Ting appeared to challenge him personally, followed by the fact that the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect were joining forces to kill him. Over there. Right then, someone pointed to the mirror and shouted. Many cultivators looked over hurriedly. That single look caused the clamor in the square to quieten down. The cultivators who were arguing earlier widened their eyes and mouths in shock, looking at the green-robed cultivator in the 9 heavens in disbelief. The abnormality here naturally piqued the curiosity of the other cultivators. More and more cultivators looked towards Su Zimo. Those people took a look and were dumbfounded as well. Before long, the massive square fell silent. Everyone's gazes landed on the green-robed scholar. After a while, a weak voice sounded in the quiet square. What is he doing? Is he taking a walk? When he heard that, Xia Qingqing shook his head gently and smiled. The elders of the academy raised their glasses with gratified expressions. In the 9 heavens, Su Zimo advanced slowly in the raging flames with his hands behind his back without using any divine powers or immortal arts. Everyone only saw a green-robed scholar with refined features treading on the flames. His black hair danced and his sleeves fluttered as he strolled leisurely in an indescribably carefree manner. After a momentary silence, the crowd rebounded rapidly and an even louder commotion broke out. What's that? That person isn't afraid of the flames inside? I'm making a report. Suddenly, Shui Yuan of the Shui clan stood up from his seat and pointed at Su Zimo, who was in the 9 heavens, saying hatefully, "He's cheating." Shui Yuan was injured by Su Zimo and had yet to recover. Out of safety considerations, he could not take part in the Earth-ranking competition. Naturally, he bore a grudge against Su Zimo and could not take it lying down at this moment. The green robes he's wearing must be some dermic treasure. Or perhaps, he secretly summoned some dermic treasure. Otherwise, how could he stroll in the flames? Shui Yuan spoke with conviction. Xia Ling looked at Shui Yuan. Chapter 2199, 2199 Change in the World. 2199 Change in the World. Shui Yuan was stunned by Xia Ling's stare. On the surface, he was questioning Su Zimo. However, in reality, he was questioning the rules of the Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom's 9 heavens that had been established for so many years. He was doubting the judgment of perfected immortal Xia Ling. He was questioning the judgment of the experts present. Against Xia Ling's perfected immortal pressure, Shui Yuan stood on the spot with his mind in a mess. His face was flushed red and he could not speak. Sit down. As the person in charge of the Shui clan this time round and Shui Yuan Sr., Shui Qian could not stand it anymore and stood up, hollering. Uncle. Shui Yuan looked aggrieved. Shut up, don't embarrass me. Shui Qian's expression darkened as he cursed again. Shui Yuan did not dare to say anything and could only sit back obediently. Su Shaotian, who was standing beside Xia Qingqing, was in a great mood and snickered when he saw that. Your Highness Xia Ling, please calm down. Shui Qian cupped his fists and apologized, saying with a guilty expression, this junior of the Shui clan doesn't know etiquette or rules. The nonsense he's spouting has embarrassed your Highness and everyone. It's fine, sit down. Xia Ling's expression softened as he nodded. However, fellow Daoist Shui, remember to discipline the juniors in your clan properly when you return. Shui Qian agreed hurriedly. There's no need to make a fuss. Prince Yuan Zuo was unwilling to see Su Zimo so cocky as well and said coldly, the test of level 1 hasn't begun yet. He'll have to endure it later on. I don't believe that he can still be so calm when the world changes and a calamity descends. As though the 9 heavens sensed something, right in front of everyone, a blazing sun suddenly appeared in the firmaments like a gigantic fireball burning with flames. The blazing sun hovered above the heads of many cultivators and was extremely close, as though it was within reach. The temperature of level 1 shot up and the fires burning in the surroundings rose rapidly as more and more flames grew. In such an environment, it took a huge toll on the essence chi of many cultivators who released immortal arts and divine powers. Some cultivators could not withstand it and were devoured by the flames before they could retreat. This change made the environment of level 1 even more difficult to endure. Many cultivators slowed down. However, for those at the top such as Feng Yin, Tai Hua, Tai Han and Yu Feng, their speed did not decrease at all and they continued advancing. The blazing sun in the skies had no effect on them. Before long, another blazing sun appeared beside the first blazing sun in the firmaments. 2 gigantic fireballs hovered high in the skies. The temperature of level 1 rose once more. After a while, a third blazing sun appeared. In less than half an hour, there were already 9 blazing suns high in the firmaments of level 1 that burned the world. The ground within had long cracked, revealing gigantic rifts where scarlet flames spewed out as though they could devour everything. The flames of the world were almost connected. This time round, even the speed of the 2 reincarnated immortals, Feng Yin and Tai Hua, decreased slightly. It was unknown what secret skill Feng Yin used, but a pitch-black storm appeared beside him and pulled him forward. Everywhere the black storm passed, the flames were extinguished, leaving only charred marks on the ground. Tai Hua's rain summoning technique seemed like it could not hold out either. He raised his head and spat out a beam of light that entered the dark clouds above his head. Electric arcs appeared one after another on the dark clouds that were about to dissipate and gathered them once more with a relentless downpour. Tai Han's methods were shocking as well. His expression was cold as ice and his body was shrouded by streams of cold qi. Even his armor was covered by a layer of frost that was invulnerable to flames. Many cultivators looked at Su Zimo again. However, they realized that he did not release any methods despite being burned by the 9 blazing suns. He merely walked around level 1 as though he was searching for something. This person's physique is so strong that he's not afraid of flames? He must have a special physique. Look at him, he's not even sweating at all. It's like he's having fun. He's in no hurry. Is he looking for treasures? 9 heavens. The 9 blazing suns hung high in the skies and Su Zimo felt a little hot as well. However, the heat disappeared after he circulated his green lotus bloodline slightly. He was not roaming around the place searching for treasures as many outside had guessed. He was actually searching for people from the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect. Since the other party wanted to join forces to deal with him, Su Zimo did not mind taking the initiative to look for these people and get rid of them one by one. However, he had roamed this place for a long time. Although he encountered many cultivators along the way, he did not encounter cultivators of the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect. Although level 1 was only a space, it was extremely vast within. There were more than 1 million cultivators who entered and there were only a few dozens of disciples from the Great Jin Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect. It was not easy to encounter these people in such a vast world. Su Zimo searched for a long time but to no avail. He gave up on this matter for the time being and advanced at full speed. He took out his badge and took a look. The number displayed his ranking at more than 900,000. During this period of time, he moved around and his ranking decreased significantly. Putting the badge back, Su Zimo spread his body and transformed into a streak of light, speeding forward at an extremely fast speed. For others, it would be extremely difficult to pass through level 1 and they might even die within after expending a lot of essence qi. However, for Su Zimo, he could roam freely within with his green lotus true body without any reservations. The high temperature of the flames did not affect the green lotus true body at all. After Su Zimo decided to speed up, his ranking jumped forward in an unusually terrifying manner. 800,000. 600,000. 300,000. In less than an hour, Su Zimo had already surpassed more than half of the cultivators. Right then, another massive quake happened in the world. The ground shook continuously. Initially, only flames burst forth from the cracks. But now, scorching lava began to flow out from the cracks in the ground and extended continuously like a man-eating beast. The temperature of the lava was even more terrifying than the original flames. Some cultivators could not dodge in time and were devoured by the lava. In the blink of an eye, they died without corpses left. Against such a change, many cultivators released their divine powers and protected themselves. Most of the cultivators leaped into the air. Although flying in midair consumed more essence qi, it was better than being devoured by the underground lava. Right then, the skies shook continuously as flames rained down. Heavenly fire had descended. Chapter 2200, 2200 Lava Giant. 2200 Lava Giant. One after another, gigantic fireballs descended from the skies, covering the skies. Lava spewed continuously from the cracks in the ground as thick smoke billowed. The entire world was dark and flames burned everywhere, as though the apocalypse had arrived in a terrifying manner. In the square, many cultivators had never participated in the Earth ranking competition, and this was their first time witnessing such a scene. All of them had pale expressions and felt like they were about to suffocate. Although they had long heard that the elimination round of the 9 heavens was unusually terrifying, no one expected them to be this frightening. If that was the case for bystanders, it was hard to imagine how great was the impact the cultivators involved had to withstand. Feng Yin and Tai Hua arrived in midair as well. The black wind on Feng Yin's body collided repeatedly with the descending heavenly fire in the skies, and his speed naturally slowed down. Tai Hua flew through the air, and essence chi burst forth from his fingertips one after another, entering the dark clouds above his head to defend against the impact of the heavenly fire. For the 2 reincarnated immortals and top monster incarnates such as Tai Han and Yu Feng, such a huge change in the world was not much of a threat. It merely reduced their speed slightly. However, for most Earth immortals, they had almost nowhere to hide as lava surged and heavenly fire blanketed the place. Initially, many cultivators held back. However, at that moment, they could not care less and summoned their trump cards one after another, barely holding on. Up till now, more than 10,000 Earth immortals had died in level 1, and that number was still rising. Look, Su Zimo is already in the top 10,000. Pust. How fast? A series of exclamations sounded from the crowd. Unknowingly, the grade 8 Earth immortal who was initially ranked at around 900,000 had already moved to the top 10,000. Furthermore, his ranking was still rising rapidly. Even a universal phenomenon as such can't stop him. Right in front of everyone, even when lava spewed and heavenly fire descended, Su Zimo's speed did not decrease at all, and he continued to surpass his other opponents. When heavenly fire descended, he shattered it barehanded without using any immortal arts or divine powers. 5,000. 3,000. 1,000. Before long, Su Zimo's ranking rose to the top 1,000. In the world of level 1, a sea of flames surged and raging flames burned. Although heavenly fire enveloped the place, it could not stop his figure at all. This time round, most of the cultivators in the square focused their attention on Su Zimo. A question flashed through everyone's minds. Could this person really catch up and make it to the top 100? Splash. Right then, the rumbling lava in the cracks suddenly surged and created a scarlet firewall that blocked the path of many cultivators. The lava in the crack condensed continuously and materialized. In the blink of an eye, lava giants that were 1,000 feet tall were formed from the flames of level 1 and blocked the path of many cultivators. Roar. The lava giants roared with red eyes and scorching lava flowing through their bodies. Their auras were searing and their might was terrifying. Bang! A lava giant raised its leg and descended heavily. A cultivator could not dodge in time and was trampled by the gigantic foot. Divine powers and immortal arts collapsed on the spot, and he was trampled into ashes without a corpse left. Phew! Another lava giant extended its gigantic palm and swiped through the air, grabbing an Earth immortal who was dodging in panic. The palm covered the skies, and when the person saw that he could not dodge, he released all his divine powers and secret skills. However, he merely created a small pit on the lava giant. Lava surged and filled the pit instantly. The cultivator exhausted all his methods and was grabbed by the lava giant. Green smoke rose and he died. This scene repeated itself repeatedly in the 9 heavens. The power of the lava giants was extremely terrifying, and it was useless even if many cultivators joined forces and crippled them. The lava surged continuously and the bodies of the lava giants recovered before long. In this flaming world, the lava giants were almost undead. In the square, perfected immortal Xia Ling said slowly, "Once lava giants are born in this place, fighting them head-on is the most unwise decision. Although the power of these lava giants has not exceeded the limit of an Earth immortal, their power is endless and will not weaken. Everyone looked at the situation in the 9 heavens and focused on how some top paragons were going to face it. Look over there. Su Zimo did not fight them head-on. Instead, he circled around with his movement technique. Right in front of many cultivators, Su Zimo encountered a lava giant blocking his way. Pausing for a moment, he made use of his movement technique and passed through the legs of the lava giant. The lava giant's palm missed. By the time he turned around, Su Zimo had already run far away and was out of the lava giant's attack range. The lava giants would not target a single person and merely stood on the spot, blocking cultivators who wanted to charge over. Xia Ling smiled gently and said, Su Zimo of Heaven and Earth Academy's method of dealing with it is the most rational and relaxed. This is the first time that lad has experienced such a situation. The fact that he can make the fastest judgment and think of the best way to deal with it in a short period of time is indeed impressive. As the person in charge this time round, this was the first time that perfected immortal Xia Ling praised a cultivator. Your Highness, aren't you overestimating him? Prince Yuanzhua pouted in disdain. In my opinion, it's just some opportunistic tricks. Xia Ling smiled and did not refute. Of course, there might be other living beings born later on. At that time, it won't be so easy to deal with them. The true combat strength of the cultivators will be tested. At that moment, after breaking through the obstruction of the lava giant, Su Zimo's ranking had already risen to 98. Suddenly, a series of dense bird cries sounded from the distant skies. Immediately after, a large patch of red spread from the distant horizon and approached rapidly. The sound of birds chirping became clearer as well. It's the fire sparrows. In the square, the heaven immortals of the major factions suddenly exclaimed and their expressions changed slightly. Among them, they had either experienced the fire sparrows before or heard of them. Legend has it that fire sparrows inherited a wisp of the vermilion bird's bloodline. A single fire sparrow was nothing to fear and was only at the cultivation realm of an ordinary earth immortal. However, the fire sparrows swarmed over in a group of millions. They covered the skies and could not be blocked or dodged. For the earth immortals fighting for the earth ranking, the lava giants were not the greatest threat, it was the fire sparrows that blanketed the skies. Even Feng Yin and Tai Hua who were at the front had to release various methods in order to deal with this swarm of fire sparrows. 9 heavens. Su Zimo focused his gaze. Although his movement technique was strong, it was impossible for him to dodge this swarm of fire sparrows. Since he could not dodge, he could only face them head-on. With a single thought, a layer of flames enveloped Su Zimo's body. Chapter 2201, 2201 Dispersion of the Fire Sparrows. 2201 Dispersion of the Fire Sparrows. The dense flames on Su Zimo's body were pure white, making him stand out in the world of scarlet flames. White flames? I heard that Su Zimo mastered a flame immortal art. Is that the flame? It doesn't seem like there's anything special about it. Many cultivators turned to look at the camp of the Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom instinctively. The Yen-Yang Immortal Kingdom established its Tao with flames and no sect or faction in the Divine Firmament Immortal Domain could compare to its control of flames. There are many types of flames, but there are only a few with the strongest might. For example, the Scarlet Red Lotus Karmic Fire, the Green Hellfire, the Golden Sun Essence Fire or the Purple Heavenly Fire. Perfected Immortal Xia Ling pondered for a moment and said, white flames are rather rare. However, it's impossible if he thinks that he can break through the obstruction of the fire sparrows with just a single flame. As Xia Ling had said, after the fire sparrows appeared, it was an unimaginable test for the earth immortals in the 9 heavens. The fire sparrows were dense and covered the skies, there was nowhere to hide. Even Feng Yin and Tai Hua who were charging at the front began to release some divine powers and secret skills to chase away the incoming fire sparrows. A large number of fire sparrows died tragically in front of the two of them. Although their speed had decreased significantly, they could still continue forward. However, for most people, the appearance of the fire sparrows was a devastating catastrophe. The barrier conjured by an earth immortal using a secret skill was shattered by a few fire sparrows. The earth immortal's body was completely exposed to the fire sparrows. His aura was completely different from level 1. The fire living beings in level 1 heaven were all formed from flames. This person was made of flesh and blood. The moment he was exposed, countless fire sparrows charged forward. Great rain summoning. Boundless frost seal. Violet cloud seal. The earth immortal released greater divine powers and immortal Tao secret skills one after another to fight the fire sparrows head-on. He released a deafening might and sparks flew. However, the fire sparrows were endless and more of them charged forward. Before long, the earth immortal was drowned by the sea of fire sparrows and his essence spirit was destroyed, dying on the spot. He seems to be ranked 93 on the earth ranking predictions. Han Jia of a major immortal Tao clan. To think that he would fail to clear level 1 despite the fact that he's on the earth ranking predictions. Many cultivators were secretly alarmed. Everyone realized that the situation in the 9 heavens was even more tragic than they had imagined. Even paragons on the earth ranking predictions might not be able to survive. Look at Princess Scarlet Rainbow. She's using the greater divine power, the 72 transformations, to transform into a fire sparrow and mix in with the fire sparrows. How smart. That's a way to break out of the situation indeed. Not necessarily. As everyone discussed, they saw other earth immortals think of this method as well. They released greater divine power and transformed into fire sparrows. Although their forms were identical to the fire sparrows, their auras could not be compared to the fire sparrows of the 9 heavens. Fire sparrows relied on sensing auras to attack. All living beings that were incompatible with the aura of this world were their targets, be it fire sparrows or the gravel and lava. Although these earth immortals transformed into fire sparrows, unexpectedly, they were surrounded by the real fire sparrows in the blink of an eye and revealed their true forms. As for Princess Scarlet Rainbow, she was not attacked despite being among the fire sparrows. Just as everyone was puzzled, Xia Ling spoke. Scarlet Rainbow cultivated the Great Sun Sutra and can control flames. She can imitate the fire sparrow's flame aura to a close to the mark. Others don't have the ability to do so. If they transform rashly, it will only backfire. Su Zimo is about to encounter the fire sparrows as well. Someone shouted and attracted the attention of many cultivators. Everyone wanted to see how this grade 8 Earth Immortal of the Academy would defend against such a terrifying group of fire sparrows. Su Zimo's body burned with white flames as he looked at the approaching fire sparrows. He did not show any signs of dodging and his movement technique did not even slow down. Instead, he welcomed them. The next moment, a shocking scene happened. Before the sea of fire sparrows could strike Su Zimo, they took the initiative to avoid the detour. Right in front of everyone, the fiery red ocean seemed to have been separated from the middle by an invisible force and surged to both sides. Su Zimo was bathed in white flames and looked extremely striking in the red sea of flames. However, when went against the current, the sea of flames had no intention of stopping him and none of the fire sparrows attacked him. Many cultivators in the square were dumbfounded and confused. Even the many heaven immortals present could not tell what was going on. Interesting. Yunting smiled and clapped in praise. A look of realization flashed through Prince Yuanzuo's eyes. As though he thought of something, he sneered, "What's there to be surprised about?" His Highness Xia Ling said earlier that the attacks of the fire sparrows relied on aura detection. Although he did not change his figure, he must have imitated the aura of the fire sparrows to not be attacked. Idiot. Suddenly, Yunting spoke and sneered. "Who are you scolding?" Prince Yuanzuo glared angrily. Yunting burst into laughter and pointed at Prince Yuanzuo, saying without hiding anything, "Of course I'm scolding you." Princess Scarlet Rainbow released her divine power and transformed into the form of a fire sparrow, imitating its aura. However, she was only mixed in the group of fire sparrows. Is Su Zimo in the same situation as Princess Scarlet Rainbow? Prince Yuanzhuo was stumped by Yunting's question and was speechless for a moment. He merely clenched his fists in rage. Perfected Immortal Xia Ling frowned slightly and said sternly, "This situation is a little strange and is indeed different from Scarlet Rainbow. The movements and trajectory of the fire sparrows seem more like fear." Towards the end, Xia Ling's tone became confused and uncertain. What was the fire sparrows afraid of? They were not pure living beings and did not have sentience. They only knew how to attack living beings with different auras. However, why would they feel fear toward Su Zimo? In fact, even the entire fire sparrow group was opening up a path for him. White flames? Xia Ling murmured softly in deep thought. Although he was a perfected immortal, he did not recognize the flames on Su Zimo. This was the Southern Mingli fire recorded in the Hell Suppression Tripod. As for the Hell Suppression Tripod, it was the Emperor weapon of the Infinite Great Emperor and came from the ancient era that was once buried. It had been many years since then and Xia Ling had naturally not seen the flames on the tripod. The reason why the fire sparrows gave way was because the Southern Mingli fire originated from the vermilion bird Sacred Soul. The flame was still white right now. If it was cultivated to its limits, there was a chance it could transform into a scarlet vermilion bird sacred flame. The Southern Mingli fire carried an extremely strong aura of the vermilion bird. The fire sparrows did not have high sentience. When they sensed the aura of the vermilion bird, they did not dare to attack and dodged one after another. That was why the strange and shocking scene that everyone in the square witnessed was formed. Chapter 2202, 2202 Mars Stone. 2202 Mars Stone. Due to the appearance of the fire sparrows, almost everyone in the 9 heavens slowed down. However, Su Zimo continued advancing at a high speed. Before the fire sparrows appeared, he was already in the top 100. Right now, his ranking was still rising rapidly. 50. 20. 8. 3. 1. After passing through the fire sparrows that blanketed the skies, Su Zimo was already in the first place. In the distant horizon, a towering mountain could vaguely be seen. The mountain peak was scarlet red and thick black smoke billowed from it. From time to time, red lava would splash and flow slowly along the mountain peak. It was a gigantic mouth of a volcano. Above the mouth of the volcano, a teleportation formation shone with runes. Once he stepped foot on the teleportation formation, Su Zimo would be able to ascend to level 2. Su Zimo actually managed to get to number 1 and surpassed Feng Yin and Tai Hua. This is just level 1 and there are 4 more levels. The obstacles of each level are different. That's right. Coincidentally, this person specializes in a fire secret skill. That's why he's like a fish in water in level 1 and can surpass others. It won't be so easy for him after he ascends to other spaces. As everyone discussed, Su Zimo released his movement technique and had already descended on the teleportation formation above the mouth of the volcano. Standing on the teleportation formation, Su Zimo surveyed his surroundings coldly. The teleportation formation was located in the middle of level 1. The Earth Immortals participating in the elimination rounds of the Earth ranking were scattered around level 1 and were heading towards the middle. Standing here, he could observe everything from the high ground. However, Su Zimo looked for a while but no one appeared in his line of sight. Su Zimo was in no hurry to ascend to level 2. He intended to kill cultivators of the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect here. Since there was no room for negotiation, Su Zimo would not hold back either. Rather than retaliate passively, he might as well attack first. If Immortal Tai Hua of Flying Immortal Sect were to arrive, he would not mind killing this person here first to resolve a huge problem. Why is Su Zimo standing there? Why isn't he ascending as soon as possible to shake off others? Some people were puzzled. Good, good, good. Yunting's eyes lit up. He understood Su Zimo's intentions and could not help but praise repeatedly. Prince Yuanzhua and Heaven Immortal White Sea exchanged glances and frowned slightly. Su Zimo's rise to number 1 had completely exceeded their expectations and spoiled their plans. If Su Zimo was guarding here, it meant that there was a high chance that Immortal Tai Hua would meet Su Zimo beforehand. The two of them were not worried that Immortal Tai Hua would lose. However, that way, it would be difficult to form an encirclement and they might not have a 100% chance of killing Su Zimo. Right then, Su Zimo, who was on the teleportation formation of level 1, suddenly leaped down and arrived at the edge of the mouth of the volcano below, surveying his surroundings. His actions attracted everyone's attention once more. What was he trying to do? Just as everyone was puzzled, Su Zimo made another shocking move. He leaped down from the edge of the mouth of the volcano and actually jumped into the scorching lava. That scene caused an uproar. Perfected Immortal Xia Ling frowned slightly. Stunned for a moment, Xia Qingsheng paused for a moment before turning to look at Xia Ling, who was not far away, and sending a voice transmission with his spirit consciousness. Second brother, I remember that there's a Mars stone in the depths of the mouth of the volcano? That's right. Xia Ling said, to think that this lad could sense this item. Is he trying to take away the Mars stone? Mars was a star condensed from flames and had existed in the upper world since ancient times. As for the Mars stone, it was a stone that fell off the star. Although it was only the size of a palm, it contained an extremely pure and condensed power of flames and was a rare treasure. The source of power for the fire giants, fire sparrows and other living beings that might be born in level 1 was actually the Mars stone. It could be said that the Mars stone was the foundation of level 1. The Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom had held the Earth ranking competition many times. Countless paragons and monster incarnates had participated as well. However, no one dared to enter the volcano and harbor designs on the Mars stone. The Mars stone contained the extreme power of fire to begin with and even contained a trace of spirit consciousness that was extremely offensive. Outsiders would definitely be attacked if they tried to touch it. It was difficult for Earth Immortals to defend against the power of that attack. Many cultivators could not help but follow Su Zimo into the mouth of the volcano with their eyes. Everyone seemed to be in it and their surroundings were filled with lava as they followed Su Zimo down. 9 Heavens. Initially, Su Zimo intended to hunt Earth Immortals of the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect near the teleportation formation. However, there was a commotion in his consciousness from the Hell Suppression Tripod that had been silent for a long time. He was extremely familiar with that activity. There might be a treasure worth the Hell Suppression Tripod devouring in the vicinity. Thereafter, when Su Zimo leaped down from the teleportation formation and arrived at the edge of the mouth of the volcano, the activity of the Hell Suppression Tripod became increasingly obvious. That was the reason why he dived into the depths of the volcano. The Hell Suppression Tripod was way too important to him. This treasure was once an Emperor weapon and had saved his life countless times. Right now, 3 sides of the Hell Suppression Tripod had been repaired. As for the souls of the sacred beasts on the 3 sides, because of the previous few combats, their strength was completely exhausted and they fell asleep. If he could repair the 4th Hell Suppression Tripod, the Taboo Mystic Classic on it would appear completely. Even if he could not repair the 4th tripod wall, if he could awaken the souls of 1 or 2 sacred beasts, it would be a powerful method for him to survive at critical moments. The combat strength of a sacred soul was comparable to a top heaven immortal. Therefore, Su Zimo dived into the depths of the volcano without hesitation and released his spirit consciousness to probe continuously. This was also because the Green Lotus true body had a strong physique and terrifying bloodline. If an ordinary body of flesh and blood were to leap into the lava, they would have turned into ashes long ago without a corpse left. Relying on his Green Lotus true body, Su Zimo dived continuously and the temperature in the lava increased. He realized that he was getting closer to the treasure in the depths of the volcano. After a long time, the surrounding lava had already turned dark red. Even the Green Lotus true body could not withstand it. His skin was burned red and when cracks appeared, Su Zimo's feet missed. His figure suddenly broke free from the lava and fell. He realized that he was getting closer to the treasure in the depths of the volcano. After a long time, the surrounding lava had already turned dark red. Even the green lotus true body could not withstand it. His skin was burned red, and when cracks appeared, Su Zimo's feet missed. His figure suddenly broke free from the lava and fell. He had already arrived at the bottom of the volcano. There was a secret space hidden in the depths of the boiling lava. Su Zimo entered the space, and the surrounding temperature increased to a terrifying degree. His green lotus true body sizzled and burned with smoke. He took a deep breath of air. Right in front of him, a scarlet stone the size of a fist hovered in midair. It released a heat that could incinerate all beings. Chapter 2203, 2203 Ridiculous Joke. 2203 Ridiculous Joke. The space around the scarlet stone was distorted from the heat. The temperature was way too high. Su Zimo's green robes had already turned into ashes, and his body was shrouded by raging flames that burned the green lotus true body continuously. There were layers of lava in the depths of the volcano. Due to the existence of the Mars stone, the space at the bottom of the volcano was distorted and blurry. Therefore, many cultivators in the square could not see what was going on inside. Everyone could only vaguely see a figure advancing with difficulty in the depths of the volcano, approaching a gigantic ball of flames. Feng Yin, Tai Hua, and the others had already arrived above the volcano. After they arrived at the teleportation formation, they did not stop and ascended to level 2, surpassing Su Zimo once more in terms of ranking. However, at that moment, most of the cultivators in the square were focused on the figure in the depths of the volcano. The Mars stone was the foundation of level 1. The power of all living beings in level 1, such as the lava giants and fire sparrows, came from this Mars stone. In other words, the power of the Mars stone far surpassed the lava giants and fire sparrows. Perfected Immortal Xia Ling frowned slightly. What's that lad trying to do? Is he going to give up his life for this Mars stone? In the depths of the volcano, Su Zimo had a pained expression and felt that the flames were extremely powerful and damaging, as though they wanted to seep into his organs and burn him to ashes. Even with the bloodline of perfected immortal Green Lotus, he could not withstand it at this moment. Under the invasion of such a terrifying external force, the bloodline of the Green Lotus true body began to circulate on its own. The closer he was to the Mars stone, the faster his bloodline circulated. At that time, before he could touch the Mars stone, the aura of the Green Lotus true body might not be able to conceal itself and burst forth. Actually, if not for the fact that he could not use his dermic treasures in the 9 heavens, Su Zimo would have been able to devour the Mars stone with the Hell Suppression Tripod. However, once a dermic treasure was summoned here, it would definitely be sensed by the heaven and earth laws and he would be killed. There was no need to take that risk. However, he was bent on getting his hands on the Mars stone before him. The southern Mingli fire on his body was suppressed by the flames of the Mars stone and was about to extinguish. Su Zimo conjured hand seals repeatedly and 3 balls of terrifying flames appeared beside him. The immortal, Buddhist and fiend Tao fires. The 3 balls of flames circled around him and fought against the flames released by the Mars stone. Although they were both flames, the power of the 2 flames could not fuse. With the 4 flames, Su Zimo was getting closer to the Mars stone and it was within reach. When he saw that, Xia Qingqing looked worried and murmured, "Brother Su, your decision is way too risky. It's not worth it." "What is risky about it?" "The Mars stone?" Su Shaotian could vaguely tell that Xia Qingqing was implying something and asked out of concern. "It's not just the Mars stone." Xia Qingqing said sternly, "Su Zimo's actions will affect his upcoming fight for the Earth ranking. He might even lose his life or be unable to enter the final ranking battle." "Is it that serious?" Su Shaotian was shocked. Xia Qingqing asked instead, "In the 9 heavens elimination round, do you know what is truly being tested? Who can reach level 5 in the shortest time with their combat strength?" Su Shaotian said naturally. Over the past few days, he had also gained some knowledge about the Earth ranking. Xia Qingqing shook his head. That's only on the surface. The 9 Heavens elimination round is not only a test of combat strength, but also of one's judgment of the situation, consumption of essence qi, control of time, decisiveness in releasing methods and so on. Su Shaotian was at a loss. Xia Qingqing said, have you noticed that although powerful paragons like Feng Yin and Tai Hua encountered some obstacles along the way after entering the 9 Heavens, they did not reveal many methods? Su Shaotian nodded. Feng Yin, Tai Hua, and the other paragons and monster incarnates merely used a few divine powers and secret skills to get through level 1. Xia Qingqing said, the reason why they held back was so that they could pass through the next 4 levels easier. However, Brother Su released such a powerful flame immortal art secret skill in advance. If he encounters any other danger later on, he won't be able to use this secret skill. Su Shaotian understood. For a secret skill as powerful as this, it required a relatively long time to recover and took a huge toll on the essence spirit and essence qi. But now that Su Zimo released this secret skill in advance, it would have a huge impact on his future. Fufu. When Prince Yuanzhua saw Feng Yin, Tai Hua, and the others surpass Su Zimo once more, he heaved a sigh of relief and sneered, as expected of an ant that ascended from the lower worlds. You don't have much knowledge and want to take all the treasures you see for yourself. Why don't you take a look at your own capabilities? If I'm not wrong, the stone in the depths of the volcano should be the Mars stone. Heaven Immortal White Sea waved his folding fan gently and said, the value of the Mars stone is comparable to a sentient dermic treasure. It's definitely the foundation of level 1. This lad doesn't know his limits at all and wants to remove the entire foundation of level 1. What a joke, how utterly ridiculous. There was indeed such a rule in the 9 Heavens that the treasures within were opportunities. As long as cultivators could obtain them, they could keep them. However, even if no one from the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom said anything, everyone could guess that the Mars stone was definitely not among them. Who would leave a treasure comparable to a sentient dermic treasure for an Earth Immortal? Perfected Immortal Xia Ling smiled as well and said, it's fine. When he sees that things won't work out later on, he'll naturally retreat in the face of difficulties. The Mars stone has already nurtured a spirit consciousness in the 9 Heavens and no one can take it away. Right then, a change happened in the depths of the volcano. The floating Mars stone seemed to have sensed Su Zimo approaching and suddenly released a shocking power. A gigantic flame spewed out and transformed around him rapidly, turning into a gigantic soaring serpent. Flapping its flaming wings, it descended from the skies and devoured towards Su Zimo. Su Zimo's gaze intensified. Without dodging or avoiding, he guided his hands in midair and gathered the 4 balls of flames around him. At the same time, a spirit consciousness flame was released from his glabella and entered the 4 balls of flames. An even more terrifying flame was formed. The Pankati Dao fire burst forth. What immense strength! Perfected Immortal Xia Ling's eyes lit up and his expression changed slightly as he exclaimed softly. Boom! Su Zimo smashed the Pankati Dao fire towards the soaring serpent that was charging over. With a loud bang, the entire volcano shook and swayed. The surrounding space became even more distorted and everyone's vision turned blurry. Among the cultivators in the square, only Heaven Immortal experts could vaguely see the situation inside. Su Zimo took advantage of the moment and the Pankati Dao fire collided with the soaring serpent to take a step forward and extend his arm to grab the Mars stone. Chapter 2204, 2204 Forceful Refinement. 2204 Forceful Refinement. Sizzle. The moment Su Zimo gripped the Mars stone, a jarring sound echoed from his palm as green smoke billowed. The flesh on his palm burned at a visible speed. In less than 2 breaths, the flesh on his palm had turned into nothingness. The jade-green lotus bones were only not burned to ashes by the Mars stone because it experienced the forging of thunder. This is bad. When he saw that, Xia Qingqing frowned and exclaimed softly. What he was worried about earlier on had happened. To think that Su Zimo did not retreat and chose to snatch the Mars stone forcefully. He could not withstand the power of the Mars stone at all. Now, it was equivalent to a crippled palm for Su Zimo. As an Earth immortal, he could definitely regrow this broken limb. However, the damage caused by the Mars stone might not recover completely even after hundreds or thousands of years. Now, even if Su Zimo let go, the Mars stone had already caused him immense damage. There was no longer much hope for him to contend for the Earth ranking. With his arm crippled and such a powerful fire secret skill released, it was difficult for him to be ranked on the Earth ranking given the immense consumption. The elders of the academy had grim expressions and could not help but stand up to look at the scene in the mirror. Ha 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 ha. Prince Yuanzhua could not help but laugh. He felt incomparably delighted when he saw Su Zimo in such a state. Initially, Yun Ting was not concerned about this elimination round. In his opinion, the so-called Nine Heavens could not stop Su Zimo at all. But now that he saw such a change, he frowned slightly and looked at the figure in the depths of the volcano fixedly. This lad is truly, way too persistent. Perfected immortal Xia Ling shook his head and sighed. Initially, he thought highly of this disciple of the academy. After all, someone worthy of Yun Ting's personal challenge must have some tricks up his sleeves even though he came from a lowly background. But now that he saw how stubborn this lad was, he could not help but feel disappointed. Actually, the reason why he said that this lad was persistent was because he wanted to give face to Heaven and Earth Academy. In his opinion, this lad had lost his mind because he was too greedy. No matter how talented a cultivator as such was, his future accomplishments would be limited. Right then, the figure in the depths of the volcano did something unexpected. Even though he was severely injured, Su Zimo did not let go. Instead, he gripped the Mars stone tightly and stuffed it into his consciousness. What is he doing? Is he crazy? Su Zimo committed suicide? Most of the Earth immortals in the square could not see what was happening inside and could only hear the Heaven immortal experts in the sect shouting. Initially, these Heaven immortal experts were calm and experienced. However, they seemed to have seen something and were shocked at the moment. A Heaven immortal expert gasped and was speechless. Su Zimo probably can't withstand the pain and stuffed the Mars stone into his consciousness. Ah! When everyone heard that, they felt chills run down their spines. Everyone witnessed the power of the Mars stone. This was something that even a body of flesh and blood could not defend against. Even a Heaven immortal would not be able to withstand it being stuffed into their consciousness. Yun Ting's gaze was sharp as a sword as he glared at the mirror in the firmaments. He did not believe this. There was no way Su Zimo would commit suicide. Right then, the other Heaven immortals gradually calmed down as well. They looked into the depths of the volcano with changed expressions. The space in the depths of the volcano gradually stabilized. Many cultivators could see everything clearly as well. Su Zimo was not dead. Unknowingly, he had already taken out a brand new green robe from his storage bag and wore it once more. His right hand that was burned by the Mars stone was hidden under his wide robes and no one could see it. The depths of the volcano returned to normal. Su Zimo was still the same as before with black hair and green robes. However, the Mars stone in front of him had already vanished. He's not dead? Xia Qingqing, the Academy elders, Prince Yuanzhua, Heaven Immortal White Sea and many other Heaven Immortal experts were dumbfounded in disbelief. Even perfected immortal Xia Ling was stunned on the spot, not knowing what happened. Look, something is happening to level 1. Someone exclaimed. In level 1, the lava giants who were initially stopping many Earth immortals and killing wantonly as well as the fire sparrows seemed to have suffered a blow, their eyes dimmed as they dissipated. The massive body of the lava giants exploded, turning into thick and scorching lava that splashed onto the ground. The fire sparrows dissipated as well, turning into scarlet clouds that floated in the skies like a sunset glow. The Mars stone was suppressed? Perfected immortal Xia Ling blinked and murmured. That was the only possibility that could explain the scene before him. In other words, Su Zimo stuffed the Mars stone into his consciousness and suppressed it instead. Xia Ling had more or less guessed it. The Mars stone was stuffed into Su Zimo's consciousness and devoured by the hell suppression tripod. Not only was it suppressed, it was also being refined by the hell suppression tripod. Dharmic treasures could not be used in the 9 heavens. However, the hell suppression tripod did everything in Su Zimo's consciousness and was not against the rules. Even the heaven and earth laws of the 9 heavens had no feedback, allowing his actions. Prince Yuanzhou was stunned for a long time before gradually reacting. He wanted to say something but his mind was in a mess. He only said instinctively, "That's not good, right?" Heaven Immortal White Sea spread his folding fan and said in a deep voice, "Your Highness Xia Ling, the Mars stone is the foundation of the 9 heavens and is priceless. How can we let this lad take it away casually?" This. Xia Ling remained silent. Fufu. A sneer sounded from the side. Yunting pouted. "In my opinion, the rules of the 9 heavens are just for show. We can't take away everything inside casually. Otherwise, I guess hearts will be broken." Yunting was clearly mocking Xia Ling and the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom. Perfected Immortal Xia Ling took a deep breath and was not angered. Suddenly, he smiled and said, "The foundation of the Yan-Yang Immortal Kingdom is strong and it's just a Mars stone. It's no big deal." By saying that, it meant that this matter could no longer be pursued. Prince Yuanzhou and Heaven Immortal White Sea were helpless and could only sit back down. Humph. Prince Yuanzhou sneered, "So what if he obtains the Mars stone? That lad has expended a lot of energy in that fight earlier on. Now that he has released his trump card and crippled a palm, let's see how he's going to fight for the Earth ranking." Right then, Su Zimo left the depths of the volcano and passed through the lava, returning to the mouth of the volcano. He took out the badge in his storage bag and took a look. Initially, he was in the first place. After this delay, he was now in the 200,000 region. Su Zimo's expression was indifferent. Everything was within his control. Given his capabilities, it would not be difficult for him to charge into the Earth ranking. Chapter 2205 Sunset. 2205 Sunset. Su Zimo focused his gaze and observed the activity of the hell suppression tripod in his consciousness. The power of the Mars stone was more compatible with the Vermilion Bird Sacred Soul. Therefore, it was absorbed by the Vermilion Bird Sacred Soul first. If nothing went wrong, the Vermilion Bird Sacred Soul would definitely awaken after refining the Mars stone. If the Mars stone was not completely refined after the Vermilion Bird Sacred Soul awakened, there was a chance that he could continue repairing the 4th tripod wall. As Su Zimo pondered, his heart skipped a beat. According to Princess Scarlet Rainbow and the others, each level of the 9 heavens were non-identical and the tribulations and obstacles they had to experience were completely different. Did this mean that there were treasures similar to the Mars stone in the other levels? At that thought, Su Zimo's eyes lit up. If he could snatch all the treasures in level 2, 3, and 4, there was hope for the hell suppression tripod to be repaired. Of course, that was only his speculation. At that thought, Su Zimo soared into the air and arrived at the teleportation formation, prepared to ascend to level 2. "Fellow Taoist, save me." Right then, a tragic cry sounded not far away. Su Zimo turned around suddenly and saw a cultivator staggering and crawling with difficulty halfway up the mountain. His body was emitting scarlet flames and he was burned into charcoal from the inside out, no longer recognizable as a human. However, one could vaguely see the person's pained expression and eyes filled with struggle and despair. He extended his arm, as though he wanted to touch the teleportation formation at the peak. Unfortunately, that person's life force had already dispersed. Even if Su Zimo reached out, it would be useless. The person collapsed halfway up the mountain and was devoured by the lava that spewed out from the peak, disappearing before long. Ah! A tragic cry sounded from another direction. Su Zimo glanced sideways. Under the 9 blazing suns, a cultivator finally could not hold on any longer. His final divine power dissipated and his essence chi dried up. He was engulfed by the flames around him, and in the blink of an eye, he was devoured without a corpse left. Su Zimo could see such figures everywhere he looked. Although there were no lava giants, fire sparrows or other living beings, the power of flames in this space was still extremely terrifying. More and more cultivators could not hold on. The most frightening thing was that there was almost nowhere to hide in the 9 heavens, and every single corner was enveloped by the 9 blazing suns. This did not seem like the 9 heavens, but a blazing hell where countless living beings struggled to survive and let out despairing roars. This was the cruelty of the 9 heavens to begin with. If one was afraid of death and did not know their limits, they should not participate in the Earth ranking competition. These people had nothing to do with Su Zimo. He would not feel any unnecessary sympathy either. However, he knew in his heart that most of the cultivators who died in level 1 were from lowly black-grade sects and itinerant cultivators. He was just like them in the past. Most people of Tianhuang mainland who ascended would be as such as well. Most of them did not expect to be ranked on the Earth ranking, although they took part in the elimination round. Perhaps they merely wanted to come to the 9 heavens to encounter opportunities and gain experience. However, these people did not even have a way out. After entering the 9 heavens, there was nowhere to retreat, and life and death was irreversible. Standing on the teleportation formation, Su Zimo looked back at the many figures struggling in the sea of flames in the distance. Suddenly, he took a deep breath and channeled his essence spirit, causing the essence chi in his body to surge wildly. In the blink of an eye, a gigantic bow appeared between Su Zimo's palms. 9 essence chi arrows floated around the bow. What is he trying to do? What pure and condensed essence chi! To think that it can evolve into the shape of a weapon! Everyone in the square exclaimed. Right on the heels of that, right in front of countless gazes, Su Zimo bent his knees and drew the bowstring. He loaded an arrow, and the entire bow was drawn into the shape of a full moon. Swoosh! The bowstring quivered gently and the arrow shot into the skies like a meteor, piercing through the firmaments. A blazing sun was penetrated, and after a brief pause, it exploded and fell from midair. The temperature in the world seemed to have dipped slightly. Su Zimo continued to load his bow. Swoosh! 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 9 consecutive arrows were shot. All 9 blazing suns fell. The flames of level 1 were still burning. However, without the envelopment of the 9 blazing suns, the pressure on the remaining cultivators was greatly reduced. At the very least, most cultivators would be able to survive. Damn it, those 9 suns are finally extinguished. I think I saw arrows penetrate the 9 blazing suns and shoot them down. Ha 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 ha. I survived. Everyone was overjoyed after surviving a calamity. Should we continue forward? Do you want to die? Just stay here and try your luck everywhere. Don't forget, there's 4 more levels after this. This is a chance given to us by the heavens. If we don't know what's good for us and continue forward, we'll truly be courting death. By the time the 9 blazing suns fell, Su Zimo had already ascended and did not linger. Countless cultivators in level 1 cheered. However, the square outside was silent. Su Zimo's action had exceeded everyone's expectations. It shocked everyone present even more than when he snatched the Mars stone. Everyone in the huge square remained silent for a long time. Su Zimo's actions seemed a little ridiculous and childish. However, for some unknown reason, a corner in the depths of everyone's hearts seemed to be touched gently. Many cultivators had conflicted expressions. Even perfected immortal Xia Ling frowned slightly and fell into deep thought. Ha! Suddenly, Yunting smiled and said, Su Zimo, you're amazing. As though he was jolted awake, Prince Yuanzhua suddenly burst into laughter and said, how foolish. To think that he would have to expend so much essence chi to save some unrelated ants in this elimination round of the 9 heavens. This time round, no one replied. Who was not an ant in this vast world? In the crowd at the back, a heaven immortal strode to the table of Heaven and Earth Academy and bowed deeply to the Academy elders. Those good-for-nothing disciples of my Flying Frost sect managed to survive because of your Academy's disciple. Thank you for the saving grace. Heaven and Earth Academy is truly worthy of the title of an immortal sect. The Heaven Immortal of another Blackgrade sect stood up and came before Heaven and Earth Academy, bowing as well. More and more cultivators stood out and arrived before Heaven and Earth Academy. Among them were Heaven Immortals of Blackgrade sects, elders of Earthgrade sects, representatives of family clans and masters who had disciples inside. In the blink of an eye, the table of Heaven and Earth Academy was filled with people bowing in thanks. As immortals, we should uphold justice and benevolence. Fellow Taoists, there's no need for that. Elder Zhong gestured for everyone to stand up and said casually. Elder he was experienced and wise as well. Coughing gently, he said sternly, as a disciple of the Academy, there was naturally no way he could leave them in the lurch when he saw something like that. Although they said that, the elders of the Academy stroked their long beards gently. Their faces were rosy and they were in high spirits, almost beaming with pride. Chapter 2206, 2206 Seabed. 2206 Seabed. This matter might be a small matter for the entire Earth ranking competition and would be forgotten before long. However, after that incident, the attitudes of the many sects, factions, and cultivators in the square towards this Academy disciple changed drastically. Initially, most people were merely watching the show and gloating over the feud between Su Zimo and the Great Gene Immortal Kingdom and Flying Immortal Sect. Right now, they hoped that this disciple of the Academy would be able to leave his name on the Earth ranking and avoid danger in the 9 heavens. Unknowingly, the human heart had already deviated. Right, did you guys notice that Su Zimo's right hand seems to have recovered? Right then, a cultivator recalled the scene of Su Zimo shooting the arrows and asked uncertainly. That seems to be the case. That can't be. Su Zimo was injured by the Mars stone and the flesh on his palm turned into ashes. How can he recover to his original state in such a short period of time? Everyone only reacted when someone mentioned that person. Many Heaven Immortals were shocked and they recalled what happened earlier on. What terrifying regeneration capabilities! Xia Qingxing exclaimed. Perfected Immortal Xia Ling nodded to himself as well. His flesh was incinerated by the Mars stone. The fact that he could heal in such a short period of time meant that his regeneration capabilities were almost comparable to blood rebirth. Level 2. After Su Zimo ascended, he arrived on a lone island. All he could see was an endless ocean. However, the surrounding seawater shone with silver light and was extremely different from ordinary seawater. Su Zimo squatted down and scooped up a handful of seawater. His wrist sank slightly. It's indeed one essence heavy water? Su Zimo murmured softly. One essence heavy water was extremely rare. If one refined a lake, they might only be able to obtain a single drop. A single drop weighed tens of thousands of kilograms. The entire space was filled with one essence heavy water. Before entering the 9 heavens, Princess Scarlet Rainbow had mentioned to him that if he encountered a sea world, it would be formed by one essence heavy water and the teleportation formation would be at the bottom of the sea. The pressure that cultivators had to endure in the one essence heavy water was unimaginable. A single drop of one essence heavy water weighed tens of thousands of pounds. The surroundings were filled with one essence heavy water and the pressure was suffocating. As for the teleportation formation at the bottom of the sea, one had to dive continuously. The deeper one dived, the greater the pressure in the ocean, notwithstanding the pressure of the one essence heavy water. In the end, if they did not have a strong physique and many immortal arts and divine powers to protect them, the pressure at the bottom of the sea would be enough to crush their bodies. That was merely the obstruction of the marine environment. What was even more frightening was that, similar to level 1, there would also be many living beings or changes in the ocean. If an earthquake or tsunami were to break out, the pressure on cultivators would increase dozens of times. Without hesitation, Su Zimo leaped into the ocean and headed towards the depths of the sea. The green lotus true body did not feel much pressure in the ocean formed by the One Essence heavy water. Even as he ventured deeper, the One Essence heavy water could not cause any damage to the grade 10 green lotus true body. However, before long, many living beings began to appear around Su Zimo. A large number of fish swam over and a large shadow enveloped him with a suffocating aura of death. Far away, a cultivator released his divine powers and immortal arts, wanting to buy time. However, in the blink of an eye, he was torn apart by the fishes, leaving only a skeleton that sank into the depths of the sea. Su Zimo's expression was unchanged as he conjured hand seals with both hands and channeled his spirit consciousness. Heaven and earth essence chi gathered rapidly and formed a fist-sized black water in front of him. The black water appeared and formed a vacuum around Su Zimo, pushing away the surrounding One Essence heavy water. With a thought of his spirit consciousness, Su Zimo dispersed the black water and enveloped himself, forming a barrier that resembled clothes. The fish at the front closed in but dispersed as though they were suddenly frightened. Su Zimo smiled gently and continued advancing towards the bottom of the sea. The black water was the secret skill inherited from the black tortoise sacred soul in the hell suppression tripod, the heavenly perfected water. The heavenly perfected water was elite and was the essence of all water. A single drop could transform into a vast ocean and was much stronger than the One Essence heavy water. Initially, Su Zimo could only condense a single drop. As a grade 8 earth immortal, he could already condense a ball. The heavenly perfected water originated from the black tortoise sacred soul and naturally contained the aura of the black tortoise. To the living beings in the ocean, that aura was like a divine being. What sort of a technique is this? Su Zimo has so many trump cards. Many cultivators in the square stirred once more when they saw that. Heaven Abyss of Mountain Sea Immortal Sect's expression changed slightly as he said slowly, "If I'm not wrong, that lad should have condensed the heavenly perfected water." Heavenly perfected water. Perfected immortal Xia Ling exclaimed softly. Pausing for a moment, Xia Ling smiled and said, "If he has the heavenly perfected water to protect him, level 2 would not be a problem for him. It might not be a good thing for that lad to use such a powerful secret skill in advance." Heaven Abyss shook his head gently. In his opinion, a powerful secret skill like the heavenly perfected water could be used in the ranking battle against Feng Yin, Tai Hua, and the others. However, in reality, this was only one of Su Zimo's many methods. Even if he used it in advance, it would not affect his combat strength much. With the protection of the heavenly perfected water, the surrounding One Essence heavy water posed almost no resistance to the green lotus true body, and Su Zimo's speed was at its limits. He dived into the depths of the sea as though he was treading on flat ground, and his speed increased. His ranking was also rising rapidly. Previously, he fell behind by more than 200,000 because of the Mars stone. Before he arrived at the teleportation formation in level 2, Su Zimo had already returned to the top 10,000 and his ranking was still rising rapidly. However, Feng Yin and Tai Hua were not slow this time round. By the time Su Zimo arrived at the teleportation formation, there were 8 people in front of him. Feng Yin and Tai Hua were still ranked at the top 2. Standing on the teleportation formation, Su Zimo looked around. Not far away from the teleportation formation, there was a deep and dark ravine that was bottomless and emitted a cold aura. In a flash, Su Zimo swam towards the trench. Indeed, when he arrived at the edge of the trench, the hell suppression tripod in his consciousness trembled slightly. Su Zimo's eyes lit up. After a moment of hesitation, he leaped down and sneaked into the depths of the trench. In the square, many cultivators were stunned when they saw that, not knowing what Su Zimo was going to do. Xia Qingqing glanced sideways at perfected immortal Xia Ling and coughed gently, asking softly, "Second brother, that seems to be Xia Ling grit his teeth and said, "This person is truly a robber." You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.